welcome to a very special stream. I'm calling this one WarmeCritic. It's sort of my first attempt at a live feedback stream, this time of somebody else's run rather than my own. In this case, we kindly had A1 Major volunteer. A1 and I have been good friends really since I started streaming, about 2 years ago now, I want to say. For a while, we were sort of the only ones doing any kind of major major activity in PvZ, and of course the community has grown hugely over the years. So A1 basically was just looking for a little bit of feedback on his most recent PB, which I believe was a 3:30 and 50 seconds. So certainly an excellent run. So I'll certainly start with the disclaimer that this is hi Ruskell, by the way, welcome. That this is a little bit, I described it to him like the Jedi apprentice training the master in this case, because as you know, my runs recently have not been quite as good even as a 3:30. I've had a lot more in the 3:32, 3:33 range. I did have one and that got sub 3:30 and so forth. So I'll start, of course, with the disclaimer that most of the feedback that I'll have is potentially could be wrong. I'll probably make a lot of mistakes, and what I'm going to try to do here is basically give some live predictions. I did watch this run probably a month ago, or a couple of weeks ago, whenever it was that A1 got this. So that's a piece of it. Hey, Papa Smurf, good morning. So that's a piece of it. The last thing is I did have to stream this using basically a capture tool, and it will include A1 Major's voice, because of course he streamed it live, and his splits, and you'll be able to see me truly live in the bottom corner. So let me know if you feel like the volume's out of whack or anything like that. Oh my goodness! Oh, thank you, A1. Appreciate that. Yeah, all lucky sevens here. Yep. So anyway, without any further ado, here is the run. Again, if you have any issues, with the video or audio balancing, I can make a couple of tweaks in OBS without too much problem. I did give it a quick test, and it seemed okay, but of course, that's it's hard. I did make a few more. So again, without any further ado, here's A1 Major's run. Again, I'll provide what commentary I can. Not going to have, of course, too much feedback here for the first, level or 2 or 3 would be my guess. We maybe don't have a perfect strategy going on, but that'll be about what it is. Again, and when I use the term critic, it's mostly going to be the positive things, the things that he did right. And then again, just sort of my guess with a couple of things that maybe I would have done differently that could have gone one way or the other. So that's the idea. It's not that we're going to be trolling him or taking a dump or anything like that. That's not the intention here. It's just sort of look at another player's run and provide feedback to them, but of course also to think about my own decisions and say, all right, would there be some things that I potentially would do differently too. So not a lot of feedback on 1-1. Ooh, yeah, you get the nice little spill. I call that the spill over there, where they're actually shooting at the previous zombie, but luckily this is actually going to be a pretty good level. Be a 51 using my timing, which is seconds above average. So nice start for me.
1-2s have been decent. 1-2s have been decent, even with weird sun cycles.
Yeah, so I'd say between all the runners, A1 and I probably have the most similar
ridiculous level with a bad final wave.
Yeah, the most similar strategies throughout the runs. We really tend to do about the same things from kind of the meta game. So I'm going to try, with this activity to talk a little bit more specifically about, little things like particular decisions that are made within a level, as opposed to, anything meta game. Because I think once you kind of get, top 5, top 6, top 7, something like that, there's not going to be huge variances in terms of, the overall kind of metagame strategy that he uses. So he does the same thing that I do, plant 4 sunflowers in the top row, and then if the zombie appears in that row, you immediately plant a pea shooter to try to deal with it, and if not, you let the zombie go. The strategy is a little bit more risky because you do risk, what if the second zombie appears in the same row, or the third zombie even, or what if the first zombie doesn't move soon enough. But overall, on average, the strategy is faster, and it occurs so early in the game that that it really is well worth it. Yep. So again, putting the third pea shooter right where that second zombie's going to appear is good. Ideally, the zombie in the middle would have been hitting the lawnmower right now, but that doesn't happen. Plus, he'll position himself pretty well. And really, no mistakes. We're probably going to have potentially minutes on end where I really don't.
Yeah, we didn't really get value out of the mower.
Yeah, like you said, he didn't get a lot of value out of the mower. Nothing he really could have done there. The speed of that first zombie is what it is. So the reason he puts, and I agree with this decision, putting the seventh pea shooter there is because wherever the first zombie appears is most likely where 3 of the 5 zombies are going to appear overall. There's a small chance that doesn't happen to the bottom row. You're inevitably going to lose a few seconds, but again, very, very clean, and again, he played these first 2 levels literally place for place plantment exactly where I would have. Very, very, very good.
Yeah, this.
Yeah, it's kind of nice because although I did watch this run a while back, it is it does feel fairly live to me. So again, it's not like I kind of went through and anything that I quote unquote predict is going to be basically a fairly live reaction. The reason A1's shaking his head is because the speed of this first zombie is very fast. So I agree with the decision that he made here to plant an extra sunflower here, because he's really got to slow down that zombie speed, and so he puts it pretty far forward like that, hoping to get 1 sun back, which he did, but really to slow him down as quickly as possible. So. Yeah,
it slowed down the zombie slightly.
He's right. It did slow him down a little bit, but not much. So A1 got, I'd say fairly unlucky here. But the lucky thing is, I do think he slowed him down just enough that he should be able to still stall him out to the 4th wave. Again, I think if the 3rd zombie hadn't appeared where it did, A1 probably would have reset. And again, if I was going for PB attempts, I think I would have too. So the decision here is whether to use another sunflower. I agree with the decision that he did to use a 3rd sunflower, because otherwise, you can see right here, it would have been too early, and basically the whole setup for this level would have been messed up. So again, I think even though it looks destructive to use 3 sunflowers like that, I actually think A1 made the right decision to do that. Again, very lucky here to not have gotten a cone head. So I actually think this probably, if it was A1, if I were A1, I'd be like, well, that just saved a reset, because otherwise it would have been nasty. You can't necessarily here hope for another list of all the regular zombies, but he should be able to get them roughly dead around the same time. This guy's going to be a little bit slower. And he actually needed to stall out. He needed to wait anyway for his cherry bomb to be off cooldown. So it's not actually as destructive as it could be. Oh, the video lags a bit. That's interesting. I wonder if the feedback player or something like that I got is a bit of a problem. Yeah, I apologize for that. I'll have to work on some of the mechanics a little bit. Hopefully overall, it's not off too much. I'm gonna pull up OBS here just for a quick second. Okay. Oh, I see what you mean. Yeah, it does look a little bit funny. I think that might be because I'm using a display capture as opposed to a capture of the video itself. I think what I might like to do in the future is any time that I'm going to do one of these is potentially get a copy of the actual video itself and have that downloaded onto my hard drive, because basically what I'm doing here is I'm capturing it right off his stream, because Twitch of course does not allow you to download other people's streams and content and things like that, unfortunately. So I am basically watching it live, so to speak, on his just the clip or the highlight that he made a couple of weeks ago. So that's what we've got. So again, I apologize if it does look a little laggy or choppy or anything like that. Again, I did try to use the original the original capture settings and things like that. So it's in 720p from his stream, but using the conversion from my display capture and all that sort of thing. I think So for next time, we'll make sure we'll see. Maybe the idea would be to upload it to YouTube or something like that. And then YouTube lets you download it, so that might be a little bit better. Again, speaking of all the decisions A1's made so far, again, I literally agree with everything that he's done so far. It was good of him to use that cherry. You theoretically could argue you could use some pea shooters and try to let the zombie through, but again, that's really risky business. So again, he's very good here to have been proactive. He timed it almost perfectly to get that walnut exactly in place with what it had to be. And one thing, he said he didn't mean to do that. I actually think it was the right decision to do that. Because, and again, using one pea shooter here, this way he should be able to get to the 50% rule for this particular flag right around the time that this walnut is off. And I actually think it was good to do this because there's a good chance that there's going to be a strong zombie that appears either in the 4th row, which it did, or my guess is going to be the 2nd row, which it was, which it might be either for the next time or something like that. So even though he didn't mean to do that, I really think it was the right decision. So he's using this just to stall those out a little bit, which again I think is good, and you can see that ends up saving him a good amount of time here. So again, really strong play from him in this level. I think this was nearly perfect decisions made from him, including the use of that double walnut and the sunflower, because now he knows there's going to be no zombies in the top row, and he should be able to basically just pick, all right, is the top row or the bottom row. Obviously this top row is very weak, so as soon as he gets enough for a cherry and finishes off the level. So again, a 3-15-ish, which is probably going to be using his timing, is absolutely excellent for this level. So again, really very strong. The only things that theoretically could have gone better would have been if he got the layout and could have used another.
And then not so many volters on 1/6.
Yeah, another. He could have theoretically tried to use another lawnmower, but the layout just didn't allow for that. So again, really, in my opinion, no mistakes here. Again, very good. He's doing a good job. Basically just trying to satisfy the 50% rule. He got a good bounce there. Basically, whenever you finish the 50% rule on this level, very important to basically just let the next wave come. Don't try to get too crazy because, inevitably you're going to be able to use some of the bounces anyway. So, again, I actually agree with all the decisions he's made so far. Using this to be able to get those two cone heads. Oh, he actually lucked out a little bit there and got hit even one of the other cone heads. Again, he got a little bit unlucky, with this right here, so hopefully he gets a bounce right here. He didn't. Maybe a good 50% rule. That was actually a good try to see if he could if he could get one of those. And again, a good move there to really try to get satisfy the 50% rule. Good use of the exploder nut there. Again, I think he made the best of a pretty crappy situation. I might have used an exploder there just where it was the wave right before the final wave. And basically at that point just prayed that there was another exploder nut available, but it looks like he's doing a good job, basically just trying to work through these zombies. Save the exploder nut for the final wave. Yeah, he did get another exploder nut, so theoretically could have saved a teeny bit of time, although he would have had to wait for all the zombies to be on screen anyway, so I would have finished it right around the same time that he would have, only my strategy would have been a little bit riskier. It ended up, he ended up being able to get the 50% rule on that next to final wave pretty quickly, so it didn't end up hurting him too much. I think I would have seen all those cone heads and just been like, no, we're using the exploder here and finishing up. So I technically might have finished a few seconds faster than he would have, but
that killed my last attempt.
Yeah, so he's talking about vaulters. Yeah, that's inevitably 1/6 just sucks. Very, very hard to get a good decent time, but that's what it is. It's actually nice that a little bit of good RNG for him that first zombie is moving as slowly as it is. So that's that basically means that he won't need to plant the walnut very early, so he can kind of keep planting sun and using the pea shooter.
Welcome. How's it going?
Really very good. Not sure about the hesitation there. Should have just planted it, but again, not a huge deal. And that is one thing I've noticed that I think what I took for granted early on when I was streaming is that like things like planting the first plant very quickly or getting a pea shooter down extremely quickly is becoming more and more important. I think earlier we were at the point where again, he might have planted this too far forward. I was about to say that as he planted it. He's going to be very close. I think he's... Oh, I see what he did. You know, I like that. Hey, one, you crafty little devil there. Again, a good decision to replant the potato mine in that same spot.
Nice.
Very very decent RNG for him right here. But this is good. I see what he was doing. So, yep. And again, definitely a good decision to let this go. There's no question that that's the play there. What he should be doing actually is planting a few more pea shooters just in random spots at this point. You know, there's really no need to. Technically wasted the 50 sun. He could have used the regular walnut, but again, it's not going to end up mattering. I'd get the potato mine down, and I was going to say the bottom row as quickly as he could. Although actually, I think with just 2 waves left, it's probably not going to matter. So he ended up doing the right thing. I think he made a different decision than I would have, but it was the right decision to get that there. Again, the only criticism I'd give here is just that he has too much sun. Really just should have been planting pea shooters in any random row that he could have. He ended up not needing to plant very many peas in the first 5 waves at all. So theoretically, he could have ended up with 1 or 2 more pea shooters, you know, in some of these more vulnerable rows at the end, particularly in either the top or the bottom row. Actually, this top row is probably going to end up being fine, so may not end up mattering too much. But just in case this had been a little bit of a disaster.
Shame about the top row.
Yeah, again, he had one very fast zombie, so they didn't align very well for his potato mine. So a little bit of bad RNG there. The only feedback I'd give is what I find on 1.4 and 1.6 is sometimes I do end up with too much sun. So if you ever like, wow, I'm totally able to deal with this wave. There's a potato mine. Just plant a random pea shooter anywhere. Like it may not make tons of sense at the time, but again, I think, you know, particularly in those like top and bottom rows or whatever rows you feel like might be vulnerable on the final wave, or one of the final waves.
The thing is that I'm not losing excessive amount of time. I'm still not more than plus 10.
Yeah. I'd say this is pretty good. It's really not an issue. Yeah, again, a little bit of bad RNG here. If you're very quick and you plant the potato mine right here, like he did, you can plant it in the 7th column like this, and that does end up being faster. You know, saving you potentially up to 5 seconds, particularly when you have a slow zombie like this or a relatively slow zombie. So hopefully now he doesn't get the second zombie in the second row. He does. Again, I think it makes sense. I personally there honestly would have planted the pea shooter first. You know, just where, again, I don't know about this little hesitation here. Oh, I think he might have been holding off just so that the potato mine recharged. I would have been a little bit more greedy, gone potato mine and pea shooter, then potato mine, then sunflower. Would have stalled my my sun production by just a little bit. But again, these first 3 waves are so important. You really have no other hope other than just, you know, whatever pea shooters you can get out. Yeah, A1's saying here, you know, pea shooter things he's been paying attention to. I'm bad about it too. That's sort of why I gave this particular feedback. I actually like the position of this pea shooter. The other thing you theoretically could have done was just put it on the top corner there, just to have that slightly better position. But what's nice about this is if you get a vaulter, which you do, you should be able to find something to make him leap over. So I did like that. I think I would have done the same thing. I might have I might have honestly held off and replanted it in the top row, but I actually think that was the right decision. You know, just sort of being proactive towards a potential vaulter, or if that next wave had ended up being a zombie in the bottom. You kind of get a little bit trolled here. It's too bad you didn't have the cherry bomb back. This totally would have been worth a cherry bomb just because this particular wave is going to be a little bit slow. Yeah, kind of stinks. You really didn't get to use any lawnmowers here, which I think is going to be kind of the main factor for anything that holds this flag back. You know, I probably would have planted that pea shooter in the 4th row and then planted another pea in the 5th row. I don't think it's going to end up mattering. You did a really good job getting sunflowers out here, but this first flag was maybe, I'd say maybe 10 seconds slower than what the goal is, but I don't think a lot of that was your fault. I just think it was bad RNG. I was about to say you maybe should have waited a split second for that cone head to make it on screen. It's a little bit tough to try to balance not wasting your pea shooter with sort of maximizing the potential of each of those cherry bombs. So I think I would have held off just a split second to make sure that you clipped that last zombie that was just visible on screen there. Kind of gotten bad luck here. You got the double cone head there in a less than ideal row. Again, I'd probably be planting pea shooters here. If you planted a regular pea shooter there rather than, I think you still would have gotten that vaulter dead and would have kind of gotten it off cooldown a little bit. Yeah, again, nothing too crazy because again at this point you're really looking to you're really looking to, okay, that was a good use of the cherry. You'll definitely have that back by the final wave. Did a good job protecting that potato mine in the top row as well. So this actually looks like a pretty darn good layout here. I sometimes try to avoid, a 4th or 5th pea shooter in the middle row just because you always know you're going to be able to cherry that. Just a small little thing, but again, you got really unloaded on that middle row with those cone heads early on. So I don't necessarily know that was a bad decision so much as just something that happened inevitably. So that's what you get. Again, more cone heads on this 9th wave here. I actually like the use of that potato mine there because you're basically going to be getting that 2nd and 3rd row dead around the same time anyway. It was very, very important to defend that potato mine. So I actually like that decision. I think that was a good one. I might have put one more pea down in the bottom row. You might actually luck out with this top row too and get the little vaulter glitch. And actually, you should be. I was hoping that you get all the zombies there on the bottom row. You didn't, but it's not going to be that much time lost. You have a lot of really good firepower there. Again, a 508 is pretty good for this level. I think again, just not being able to use any lawnmowers in the first half kind of trolled you. Plus, getting that first zombie in the middle row where you were planting all your plants. So, although the time isn't great, I don't know if there's
20 to 30 seconds on 1-9.
if there's tons that you really could have done about it. I think you kind of made the most of kind of a mediocre RNG when it came to the zombie spawns. And that's right, the second zombie appeared in the 2nd row too. So I'd actually say that was a very, very good level considering the RNG that you were dealt. Kind of still managed to get your sunflowers out really quickly. And I think you got a 250 in the first half, which again, considering that RNG, now that I'm thinking about it more, really isn't that bad. Really, honestly, no complaints about that. Yeah, switch the sunflower planting because of that crap. Yeah, it annoys the hell out of me. Yeah, it makes sense. Yeah, so here I too would have put a pea shooter there and put the potato mine in the next row. I think that was a good call, and a good call with the placement too. You didn't want that one in the 7th row because that zombie was super fast, and you were a little bit delayed in getting the pea shooter out, not having enough sun. You can see here, yeah, it's that pea shooter is going to pay off big time. And the potato mine placement that you had. Here, I think what I would have done, and I think you're going to do this too, is use a chomper. It's tempting maybe to let that one through, and I'm curious like what YMB or someone else would have done. I just think it would have been too much of a delay to. You could end up in a really good position here with these 2 rows, being able to use the lawnmowers on these 2 rows and potentially have a good spot for the final wave. Although with this guy here, I think the final wave is going to spawn in that top row, but nonetheless, you're still positioning yourself very well. This is great. I'd try to get another potato mine down as soon as you could in that bottom row. Again, just to maybe prepare for the final wave. The video's getting a little choppy for me too, so again, I apologize for that. Yeah, and again, rather than with a pea shooter, again, kind of go for... Oh, this might have been a few frames that you dropped, actually. I'm going to blame you for the frame drops here. Yep, again, let this guy through. Yep, again, I think this was all played, this was all played very well. Again, you might even... no, there was somebody in the first row, so I'd go Chomper in the bottom row and Cherry Bomb in the other way around. Whatever one is better for the Chomper. Kind of makes sense. Ends up being a really great level. A 247 is excellent. That would probably be a top 5 time for me, I want to say. So, very, very good. And we'll see what 1-9 brings. Yeah, so again, to be honest, I think so far you've played this just a little bit better than I would have. I think the one major difference was back on 1-6, where you sort of satisfied the 50. I think it was 1-6. You satisfied the 50% rule, or maybe it was 1-4, and then let that zombie through. I actually like that decision, and I'm not 100% sure if that's what I would have done. I think I would have tried to kill that zombie by hand and not been able to make use of that particular lawnmower. So that was very good. I think I would have been a little bit more aggressive with my Exploder Nuts in 1-5, but the fact that you weren't, you did get you still got the final wave dealt with about as quickly as you could have. So honestly, in terms of how we played it, I think you might be, if we both had the same seed, I think you would have been a few seconds ahead of me at this point. Yeah, a little bit of bad RNG here, but again, I would have gone one space farther forward. He's not that fast, and you had basically 2 full squares for him right there, so I would have placed that 1 space farther forward, and I don't think that Potato Mine would have died. I think that would have, it would have been okay. A very slight mistake, maybe about 4 seconds difference right there, but again, not huge because you're going to need to save up a little bit of sun anyway. I was about to say for repeater and that walnut. So honestly, even though I might have saved a little bit of time on that particular flag, the particular wave, and ends up not being a huge deal. I'm curious what you're going to do here. I agree with the decision to use a repeater. He's relatively slow. You could have used a Chomper, maybe, but I think the repeater was the right decision there, and I like your placement of the repeater too. I don't think it's going to be in too vulnerable a position. I think you're time. I like the Cherry Bomb here. I'm really curious to see. Yeah, I think you had to go Walnut there. You couldn't wait. Yeah, I'd dig up that walnut. I would have been, try to be a little bit quicker about that, and I like the Potato Mine there as well. You maybe actually could have planted the Potato Mine in the 4th row, and basically you still would have had 200 sun at this point to kill this guy in time, because he was very slow. It's just a regular zombie, and actually I would have chompered him in that position too, regardless of whether you had a repeater in that spot or not. Again, I like the repeater here too. It's the 9th, only because it's the 9th flag. If it weren't the 9th flag, I'd say that would have been a little bit of a waste. I probably would have put the Potato Mine in the 4th column, and then basically just kind of gone for broke with the Cherry Bomb right in the middle. But it's, just to protect the 11th and 12th flags a little bit better, or waves a little bit better. But again, I think you're in okay position here. You did a good job getting the sunflowers out pretty quickly. Yeah, and you see I would have had a Potato Mine in the 4th the 4th row there, so potentially been able to save a little bit of sun. Not a major criticism, but again, I think I really wasn't too worried about the top row. Again, I think those, because you had both the 3rd and 4th row open, I think that was a little bit more the priority for. I might have chompered him. I don't know if that would have been a good decision or not. I don't think it's so hard to defend those 9th column chompers that, again, I really can't. I really can't fault you too much for that one. But again, getting a chomper out here, definitely a good call. Yeah. Oh, and needing more pea shooters on the downtime too. Yeah, but again, that's something I'm not great about doing either. So again, I'm trying to basically say things that it's easy to sit here from a bird's eye perspective, particularly where that pea shooter thing is something I've been thinking about more actively recently. But yeah, I like the chomper there. Again, once you have one row of one column of repeaters, I really think the chompers do provide more value in general, unless you're just sitting on extra sun. and can get a few repeaters out there like that. Yeah, that would have been the only thing. You could have maybe gotten another repeater out on that fourth roll a little bit quicker. Again, not a major thing. Might have saved a second. I actually like the second chomper there as well. I'm not too worried about the bottom row a little bit. Theoretically, what I actually would have done here is I would have put either, again, a chomper or a repeater on the bottom row first, and then the cherry row, the cherry on in the middle second. Just being that you know that you're going to be able to deal with that middle row, and you're not too worried about the timing. Again, maybe these are like 1 or 2 second improvements, but one thing I've been trying to do a little bit on things, particularly in like the pool levels, is sort of being willing to hold off on the cherry a little bit and deal with the other rows first. I like the cherry there. That was going to take frickin' forever. God, I don't know what I would. Yeah, I think you had to cherry. Really sucks. I thought you were actually gonna get that there, and you might have been able. Yeah, I would use a cherry here too. Okay. Yeah. So again, I think you might have been able to save that one potato mine. Got to use a cherry here too. Yep. Again, I know.
Cherry bombs.
At least you're getting a lot of cherry bombs. That's true. I think that's good. I would have used a cherry here too. Again, it really sucks, but you're getting a lot of you're getting a lot of bucket heads. Again, nothing you really can do here. I like the layout, the position that you have so far. Maybe could have put that pea shooter that you have in the bottom row. You could have put that in the top row just to be proactive. But I think I think you were worried about doing enough damage to that wave. That one was borderline to me. I don't think I would have done that particular one. You had pretty good firepower in most of the rows. I love the chomper placement there. I think that was nearly perfect. Excellent. Oh, if there's only one bucket head, I always like you prioritize a chomper over the cherry bomb, because you're almost always going to satisfy the 50%. Yeah, and then again, a cherry there I think is a great call. You don't have to dig up that potato mine or that walnut. But again, the fact that you did, I don't think it's going to cost any time or anything like that. It's just that doesn't matter too much. Again, now of course you're not going to get any cherries. The game is like, hello, I've already given you enough. Again, great placement with that chomper. Again, very important, and sometimes these are things I don't see the newer runners doing quite as much. The one thing I actually would have done is maybe sacrificed a walnut, because I'm worried you're actually going to lose the repeater in that in that second row. Oh, you didn't. I would have paid for that a little bit, given that I would have wasted a walnut, but I was worried about that chomper. If you had a cherry right away, I would have used it on that on the top couple of rows, but I don't think that's worth it. You were so close to the 50% roll, you maybe could have held off on that chomper for that wave there. Again, it's a small piece. It's hard to tell whether that would have paid off or not. But I think you were pretty close to the 50% rule there. So I didn't love that chomper. But again, if anything, kind of moving things along. The game's not being generous at all in the second half. Kind of stinks a little bit. It's going to be tricky to get a sub 31 here. Yeah, I do like the cherry bomb there. There's just way too much in those rows. Going to take forever to deal with the 50% roll. I like the decision not to use a chomper there. You just save it for when you know that you're going to need it, which is probably going to be this one right here. I like that, and then I probably would have used a chomper in the second row, just again given all the crap that's right there and the fact that the chomper's not going to help. Oh wow, I did not. I thought he was actually going to chomp the weak one, so that was that was good. Hopefully the game gives you a cherry or two. We'll see how that goes. Yep, I like that. Plant those walnuts at this point. No need to hold back at all. Really just hope for a cherry at this point. Ugh, God, this game is being pretty cruel to you. Yeah. So, again, not the greatest RNG, but again, aside from those 1 or 2 little things I mentioned, I don't think there's tons you could have done about it. 31:30's kind of been my average time for the day levels too, so like you, I would have continued playing this. I don't think it's I really don't think it's in that bad a shape, but that's what you got. Welcome, by the way, Firestar. I don't think I said hello to you. I actually have chat up on my phone because I'm using a display capture on this thing rather than
anytime this is actually bad.
Rather than being able to have chat sort of at the side of my laptop screen here. Oh yeah, you got effed by that layout there. So I just without even like seeing or remembering this, you just know you're going to get newspaper zombies right there. Like I'm just so sure of it. Y and B wouldn't have, but of course the two of us definitely would have. So there you go. Oh goodness. Yeah, again, I like your decisions here so far. Again, getting those extra pea shooters out more important than trying to deal with that stupid fourth row that you're not going to be able to kill the zombies very quickly on anyway. Oh, you actually get a little bit lucky there. Yep, I like the idea to start protecting your fourth row a little bit. You could have put that one in the top row and then started putting one in the fourth row. Oh, good, you actually get a newspaper zombie in the third row. That's nice. It's particularly that first one that's just going to be really tough to deal with. I actually would have put that pea shooter in the yeah, of course. We both knew that was going to happen. It's inevitable. Again, I think 3 is probably more than sufficient. You're doing a good job putting the sunflowers out as soon as you can. Sometimes I have issues with that in this level. It's like literally there's like 2 things to pay attention to in this level, and sometimes I don't find myself being able to, but that's another story for another day. Yeah, I like the idea of a 7th sunflower here. You've been very good about your sun production, and again, I think overall it'll pay off. You could actually consider what I've started doing here, and it might actually this is the 9th row. So what I've started doing is instead of the pea shooter, the repeater, taking a pea shooter here, mostly for these types of scenarios, just to potentially help with a rogue final wave that's just a giant pain in the ass. But you're right, this actually was a good level. Again, that one, you had the one newspaper in the 4th row, but really didn't end up being too bad. I definitely see a spot, I hope, right in that middle spot right there. Yep. Oh yeah, this is going to be value. Very, very good to be patient. Ooh, ouch.
That sucks. If I just waited a
the other thing that I might recommend doing at this point is saving for a regular pea shooter, and potentially then when you have 100 sun, you're more likely to have 100 sun on the final wave, or even 150 sun for a chomper rather than 200 sun. You almost never get the value out of that. So again, you could have been just a hair more patient with that cherry bomb, and or taken the pea shooter rather than the repeater. Again, you never end up having enough sun for a repeater. So and occasionally those pea shooters end up coming in handy for a situation like that. Either where you get three in a row like you did, or even 2 in a row on the 7th and 8th columns. Every once in a while, a pea shooter like that will come in handy. And good starting grave, good starting mushroom placements, and you did get nice grave placements on this one. So a game kind of threw you a bone a little bit, but again, these are all things like about the cherry bomb. I know I don't need to give you the feedback that's not there, but it's sort of tough in that moment. You're like, all right, what's the exact moment that I plant it? And sometimes what I try to do is I tell myself, all right, wait a half second longer than you think that you need to, because even if you do end up like wasting a half second, it just ends up, even if there's only like a 1 in 5 or 1 in 10 chance that something goes wrong and you end up being a little bit early, it just ends up being okay. I probably would have gotten a little bit cute, and maybe after this next row, this next wave planted a potato mine in that top row. Yep, like right now. Or in the middle row. Again, either way, it's probably going to pay off. I might have tried to get that 3rd puff shroom in there a little bit quicker. Not going to be a huge deal. You're inevitably going to lose. Yeah, I was going to say, the bottom row, which was just asking for trouble, but again, not a lot you could have done differently there. And I like the puff shroom in the back there. That's going to be the right spot. Again, I've never been able to kill a cone head without losing at least 1 puff shroom, so is what it is. You get the right. I would have done the same thing you did. I think you were. I think that was a good time to be aggressive with the potato mine. and unfortunately, the game decides to throw zombies in the same row. I guess getting the 3 regular zombies like this, though, is still overall worth it. I would use it. Yep, I'd use a repeater right there. It's the 9th wave. Yep, and the puff shroom like you did right there. That was very good. Again, that's something I maybe would have seen a less experienced runner not be able to deal with quite as quickly. But as you see, you got both of those zombies dead right around the same time. The repeater, you know, the cone heads on the 9th waves like that are always going to be a bit tough. So yeah, I would have actually would have chompered that and potentially saved the cherry bomb for a situation where in the 4th row you needed to be able to kill a bucket head more quickly in the first half of the second wave. Again, where you would have been able to satisfy the 50% rule with just that chomper alone, I think that's maybe the right play there. But again, not a huge thing, and already your cherry bombs, you know, coming off cooldown, so not a big thing. Again, I like your repeater placements and the timing that you've done for all of them. I was going to say it could potentially be a little bit tough, but you would have ended up needing to wait for this bucket head to come forward anyway. So I still agree with your decision to place the repeaters when you did. Yeah, this is the example of you would have been able to use a cherry bomb here right in that middle spot and dealt with him just about 2 or 3 seconds faster. But you know, you're still it's very, you know, it's very very fine tuning with those sorts of things. Not a huge deal at all. Hopefully, I was going to say, hopefully that potato mine eventually decides to spawn. You know, you might have been able to, you might have wanted to place the repeater in the bottom row, just because that, you know, you're going to need a little bit of firepower there anyway for the final wave. But you're also going to need firepower in that 3rd row too. So that's a little tough. I probably would have planted it in the bottom row, but again, that's just me. Yep. I love the potato mine placement there. That's the right call. And again, you actually have a lot of sun here, so I like the chomper there too. It feels inevitably I always get a frickin' cone head on whatever the farthest forward grave is. We're gonna see if let's see here if you do too. You don't, but nonetheless, still nice to be able to deal with those quickly. I'm curious how you're going to handle this. Yep, I actually would have. I actually would have done the same thing. Cherry there and then chomper there, figuring then. Yep, you get those top 2 rows done right around the same time. And sub 5 minutes is great for this level. Really, you know, no major things other than, again, potentially I think you might have been able to get that one bucket head a little bit sooner by saving your cherry bomb and using it then about halfway through the second flag. But you know, not a really not a huge thing, and you know, you can argue you can there's pros and cons to either way. So
unless you get a lot of newspaper zombies, which thankfully I didn't.
Yeah, newspaper zombies can be a bit annoying. Although honestly, this guy's kind of fast. I really hope you don't lose the puff shroom. That would be pretty annoying. Yeah, exactly. Yeah, the huge wave wasn't wasn't that much of a threat anyway. So I might have been greedy there and planted that second puff shroom in the top row, figuring that you have the coverage on the other rows anyway. So, you know, and been a little bit, decided to greed it out a little bit, try to save a little bit of time on the row. You don't have a great spot here for your potato mine. I'm curious to see where you're going to do it. I probably would immediately put the potato mine in the second row, just figuring whether you get a cone head there. Ooh, okay, all right. I like this. This will be interesting. And I would have technically ended up wasting it, but I killed that wave a little bit faster, but you're sort of saving it for potentially being able to get more value later on. So I like that. Yeah, and neither one of us, I think, would have predicted to be able to put the potato mine in the third row. Maybe somebody would have, but you know, you're kind of rolling the dice at that point. So I actually like the number of snow peas you've gotten out at this point. That's really a good position. Unfortunately, again, the dice roll didn't work out. There. I like, you know, placing that back in the same spot. I think more often than not, you know, that'll pay off. So Again, you know, I think you've handled this. I think you've handled this one pretty well. Yeah, getting out 15 sun is very wow. Yep. Again, I love that. I think we both would have done the same thing there, and that really pays off.
Really
I maybe would have put a fume shroom in the bottom row actually. Just figuring you have so much sun at this point that getting a couple of fumes out would be pretty helpful for the final wave. Just given that it's going to be, you have 2 good cherry spots, but you know, potentially, yeah. Again, you know, both the top and the bottom row have those cone heads, which are going to be pretty annoying. That's definitely the obvious spot there. You know, Chomper there's pretty good. Again, I do think a fume here or two would have helped out. Just a couple seconds on that final wave, just where, you know, you had such great sun production. I think you can. I do think you can greed out an extra fume or two right before the final wave, just figuring, you know, either the top row or the bottom row is going to need help inevitably. You know, they both had graves, and you know they both. You know, you're only going to be able to get one of them with the cherry bomb. So that would be my only feedback for this row. Just if you ever find that your sun production is fantastic like that, just a couple more fume shrooms, or maybe even a proactive chomper if you really wanted to kind of get a little bit cute. But there you go. Yeah. Hopefully, I always find with these levels, like you're either going to get a gold or it's going to be like a really crappy level. Whatever you get, all the graves in just one or two columns. And I actually always get a little bit nervous when the first 2 zombies don't appear in those rows, because you just know inevitably there's going to be cone heads, and you know we don't have the scaredy shroom at this point, so. You know, I think we're both just waiting for the moment when a cone head appears in the top or the bottom there. Yeah, get a little bit of good luck here. That's nice. There's a chomper on the 9th wave if there's a cone head. Yep, that makes sense. Yeah, you got F'd here. There's really nothing you could have done. There's no way to realistically be able to afford a fume shroom at this point. So I think at this point, yeah, you just cut your losses and just start preparing for the next waves. Really nothing you could have done about this. We both knew inevitably there was going to be a cone head in that row. You can just smell it from the beginning. And yep, so you know, you do your best. Oh, you might actually kill this one without losing that was interesting, without losing a puff shroom. You know, I like that. I like that potato mine. There's probably more than a 50-50 chance that it gets eaten. But in the off chance that it doesn't, I do think it's going to get eaten here. But again, it's worth rolling the dice, because there was a chance that a zombie was not going to appear in that row. Or that the zombie was going to be so slow. Oh God, I just like, my heart genuinely goes out to you for this nonsense. This is a bunch of crap. At least it wasn't the 9th wave. So you know, luckily, I think you got a good good bout of the 50% roll. Yep, and again, yeah, I like this. This is pretty good. The other thing you actually could have done was put a second puff shroom in the top row, and been able to, or you know, again, potentially used a chomper on one of those middle graves a little bit sooner, just to see if you could get that extra little bit of firepower out on that on that one zombie.
I probably won't save any time here.
Yeah, you did it. You were able to get a ton of fumes out, which is great, but unfortunately those that top row just I think really probably just cost you a little bit too much time. Really not a lot you could have done about that. What I do at this point, once I have a fume or a fume and a half, call it, in every row, is I start trying to proactively bust the graves in the front, just figuring that way, you know, especially when you have this much sun, you can actually start using chompers at this point. I find the chompers really end up, you know, it's almost like the situation we have in 1.9 and so forth, that chompers end up saving on average, you know, maybe a little bit more time. I like the potato mine there. That's good. You know, the chompers do end up saving a little bit more time on average, and you know, you end up having so much sun by the end of this level that You know, like right here, you know, potentially using a chomper right away,
should actually
just to help again these rows where there's you know, where there's a cone head. Never use a chomper on a rig. Okay, all right, you start doing it there. So anyway, you know, this is stuff you already know, so not I say, hope you don't lose that puff shroom. That's sometimes what I'll do there is I'll even plant a sun shroom and just make sure. Ooh, oh, early diamond drops. Wow, this is going to be a good run, isn't it? Wow. About that, yep. And yeah, getting a chomper out on the top and the bottom row is definitely the right play there.
Shame about the grade placements.
I probably would have tried to get a chomper out, yep, in the top, yep, right here, right away. Again, you didn't get a lot of value out of that potato mine, but again, not going to end up being a big deal. Yep, kind of like that. You know, yeah, really not much. These two rows are going to die almost in unison, I think. Maybe try to get a chomper out in that bottom row or another fume, but not too bad there. Yeah, one thing I've started to do just to try to save like a half a second is remembering when I get to the end of 2-4 that I need to position my cursor right at that close button, that Xbox, just to be able to start 2-5 as quickly as quickly as possible. You know, I don't always remember to do it. I'd say more than half the time, actually. I probably don't remember to do it, but just to like really try to avoid you know, that little like half-second delay before you start 2-5. Again, it's small stuff at this point, but you know, sometimes it ends up being the difference between like a good time and a gold, or you know, at least a slightly bad, you know, it's a slightly less bad time. And honestly, there's really nothing else to talk about on 2-5, so that's about what we got. It is sort of interesting, you know, that all runners seem to have like a slightly different style when it comes to things, like in terms of you know, potato mine use, like how aggressive they are versus not. You know, some runners I find in the night levels tend to prioritize fume shrooms a little bit earlier than I do, and I actually think that's the right move. It's something I've been trying to improve on a little bit myself, particularly in these rows that don't have the scaredy shrooms. These levels that don't have the scaredy shroom. It's definitely a good thing. 5. We could technically fast forward through this a little bit. I don't know if there's a lot of commentary to have. I can jump ahead about a minute. Oh god, alright, I hope I didn't kill. Oh, didn't even end up saving that much time, so whatever. But it looked like it was going to jump a bit farther forward, but
there we go.
You're not getting a lot of sun at all here, but at least positioning yourself for something for the final wave. You might end up with a little bit extra sun, but like you, I would have started saving it. Just try to be a little bit conservative. I hate it when you end up with like 4 or 5 graves like this. It's just bunching up. All right, good timing there. And yeah, and then I hate that you pick up the sun and the zombie gets in the way of it. That of me too. Yes, unfortunately you didn't end up saving a lot of time there, but again, there's what can you do? Now on to 2-6, which again, as I've said on stream before, I think is one of the most deceptively difficult night levels, if not one of the most deceptively difficult levels in the entire run. The final wave can be a frickin' bear, and luckily your grave placements here are pretty good, but you know, I end up with a lot of
so much of a big deal.
Yeah, there can be a lot, you know, just a lot of problems.
The football zombie is pretty fast, so.
Yeah, so yeah, you're giving some interesting thought to the same thing that I did. You had a lot of a lot of graves in that 9th column, not a lot maybe elsewhere.
Potato mine.
Yeah, so the potato mine placement is going to be very very interesting on this one. I'm curious what you're going to react to it, but.
Top row it is.
So again, you know, potentially putting a you know, potato mine probably in the top row, maybe in the 2nd row. Again, if you get a cone head, I was gonna say if you get a cone head in one of these rows, you could have actually planted the potato mine in one of those rows instead, figuring you're now sort of rolling the dice and maybe killing the next cone head that appears. But you know, I think if you're talking about trying to play your odds, most like where the football zombies most likely to appear, I think the top row is probably your best choice. But honestly, he may end up appearing in this middle row. So I'm curious about this one. But you end up having enough sun anyway, and yeah, you could just turn him right around. And you might I don't know what I would have done if I would have gone one of the middle rows instead. I might have, but kind of stinks now. The potato mine, there's not a whole lot of value there. Maybe could have planted another potato mine in the third row if you'd gotten that down quickly. If you'd gotten it down instantly, you might have been able to kill that cone head in time. But again, it's a little bit of a risk, sure. What I'm hoping you do is sort of save your potato mine for the final wave. I think that's going to be the play. Probably in the bottom row, right in the front. Wow. Okay, we got a
diamond so early.
Yep. I actually like this, not busting any more graves. Your grave position's actually pretty good for the final wave, I would say. Again, maybe I dig that out and put that right there. Yep. Again, a good decision there. Maybe have tried to block out the third row a little bit, but yeah, see if you can oh, God, that sucks. Yeah, maybe go for a fume, and yeah. I don't know what I would have done. I maybe would have tried to block off the third row and use the cherry in the fourth row. But again, this final wave sucks. There's always one row that you need to, abandon. So I think what I would have done is tried to plant the cherry a little bit earlier in the fourth row, most likely in the fourth row, and then put a fume down in the second row. But I don't even necessarily know how much that would have helped. It wasn't a bad final wave. I think we've both seen worse, but
it kind of looks messy, but I don't
think
it actually is really that bad.
Yeah, I agree with you. This is not actually a horrible layout.
In every row.
One thing that I've started doing, even though it feels a little bit painful, if I ever get a grave placement in the 7th and 8th columns like that, I do plant one of my first puff shrooms in the first row. Just being that if an early zombie appears there, you at least get a couple of hits out on him before. It helps. It does help a couple of seconds with the 50% rule. As opposed to needing to wait, and now you don't even start shooting him until now. There's a 4 or 5 second delay there. I know inevitably I'm going to lose one anyway, but I do think overall it helps. Just something I've started doing. It's hard to test exactly how much time it's going to save, but especially where you have so many graves and stuff anyway, you're going to be planting puff shrooms in the 9th column anyway, so it's all right, you do that a little bit earlier. I don't necessarily think it's a bad thing. Yep, right here, you're probably going to get maybe 3 or 4 hits on him. Obviously now you have the Scaredy, so that's sort of kind of a different thing anyway. Sometimes I've even been able to save those 9th column puff shrooms.
By the time a conehead appears, we'll have decent firepower to deal with them.
Yeah, I was going to say, lack of coneheads have been great, and luckily it showed up in a row that you already had a Scaredy in, and kind of unload a little bit further. Yeah, I would have tried to be a little bit more proactive with those Scaredys once you dealt with the bottom row. Might have been able to get out and your scary or two there a little bit quicker. Not a huge deal. Kind of again, always stinks getting cone heads in the 9th wave like that. But once you're at this point, just starting to plant those Scaredys as quickly as you can. Maybe try to get a fume up. I assume that's why you're busting that one that you are. I actually like that. I think that's a good call. Again, what I also try to do here sometimes, if you ever have the space, is trying to bust the graves that are in the 9th column, just in case you get a screen door there. You can be ready to put a hypno shroom there right away. Particularly if it's in a row where you don't have firepower. In this case, it was in a row that you did have firepower. So again, I like the idea of putting a second one here. The other thing you maybe could have done if you'd had enough sun is you can cherry bomb those. Again, it's very hard to save the sun, so I don't know if you know, I don't know if that's necessarily the play or not. But again, good job getting the puff shrooms out, or the fume shrooms out here, and trying to stay ahead of some of the grave busting. I actually don't like busting the 7th and 8th column graves until later, for the reason that especially the 8th column graves. The 7th are kind of nice because it's a good spot for a puff shroom, but I really do like trying to get some of those 9th column graves out of there, whether it's, you know, to save, you know, for a good placement, you know, for something for the final wave, or just knowing that the final waves are probably going to have problems in either the top or the bottom rows anyway, so it's nice to have those graves busted.
Okay, from this point on, we're just gonna bust all the graves.
Yep. Let's see. Yeah, you got a couple annoying coneheads to deal with. Luckily, you didn't get that 9th wave football zombie that every once in a while decides to show his face. But God, yeah, like here, I probably would have planted that in the 2nd row, just so that you have another good cherry bomb placement if you have to, and not necessarily a huge deal. Probably just be able to put the cherry right in the middle, I guess, and that top row is actually going to be in great shape. You didn't get anything too bad there. Yeah, so honestly, a pretty good level up. A 435 is excellent. You know, yeah, you're definitely kind of flirting with you know, gold times there. So I'd say overall your night levels have been very, very strong. Not a lot of not a lot of things to do differently. Again, maybe the occasional potato mine placement being different, or you know, but it's not too bad.
Hopefully, I'm prepared at that point with a lot of firepower.
Oh, yeah, I don't know if Ruskell. I'm not seeing Ruskell's comments, so hopefully. Oh, I did kind of flip in and out of chat for a second, so that's maybe that was it. Yeah, you really only have one option. Sometimes this is good. You only have one option for the potato mine, for the dancer zombie. So, you know, we'll see. At least you do have one option, and basically just pray that it doesn't show up in that in the 3rd row. Sometimes what I'll try to do is I'll try to get an early, a somewhat early scaredy shroom or 2 in the 3rd row, just knowing that, like, you know, so much of it's actually, I think it's actually going to work out. I think he's gonna show up in the 4th row. I think you're gonna get the RNG here. But anyway, what I was saying is sometimes I'll put you know, a proactive scaredy or 2 in a row like this, just knowing that whether it's for this wave or one of the later waves or something like that, you're just always, yeah, this is great. Yeah, thank the heavens is right. Probably, yeah. I like the hesitation in that particular case. You know, you know you're kind of due for a conehead, and I like the potato mine there. It might get eaten, but I actually think, more often than not, I think that wouldn't get eaten. Even still, if it gets eaten by a regular zombie, like, he's already half dead anyway, so it really doesn't matter. I definitely try to get that grave out of the way. Yep, in the bottom row. I think that's the move. Another puff and another scaredy out. Particularly, one thing that I really like about what you did here is this really sets up for potentially a great cherry bomb spot. So what I would have tried to do actually is get a potato mine down here a little bit quicker, maybe a scaredy or 2 down here, and then basically just tried to stall out everything else. You even luckily didn't get a conehead here, but yeah, this is looking really good. Yeah, this is gonna be value. Yep, and again, yeah, you waited. You know, this time you waited. Yep, just enough, and the hypno shroom. That's crazy. That's for. Oh, that's right. This was your ridiculous gold. Yep. Alrighty. I was like, Jesus, this level was really good. You know, if you're talking about, like, I mean, really, the only improvement was just hoping that one conehead that you got wasn't a conehead, right? Like, I don't think there were any things that you could have done differently there. Again, maybe planting a potato mine in the bottom row for the final wave or something like that. But, you know, yeah, that was a ridiculous level. It feels so good, but particularly when you have a bad time and then you gold a level, like, it's a 30-second swing, and now all of a sudden, like, you're like, holy crap, like, this run really has some momentum. So that's Oh yeah. Now you know that you're gonna have a +20 after this level inevitably. It's gonna stink. Although in fairness, your previous PB, I think this level was relatively bad, so you might be able to keep it within like 10 or 15 seconds, which still it still feels bad, but it's not that bad.
It's kind of ridiculous.
I will say overall, your grave placements have been pretty good, with the exception of what was it, the first level, third level. One level in there where your grave placements were kind of crappy, but one thing I definitely learned from your gold in 2.8 is that I think there's a huge amount of value to trying to completely wipe out the graves from two of the adjacent rows, either like 1 and 2 or 4 and 5 or 1 and 5. And trying to basically just cherry like a nice little spot in the middle like you had in the final wave. I think whether it's for this level or for 2.6 or 2.7, though 2.7's a little bit different. I think there's really a lot of value in that. So I think that's one thing that we can try to take away, that if you're ever in a position where you're like, all right, how can I bust, if I can only bust like 2 or 3 graves, which graves do I bust so that I can have like an excellent cherry bomb placement in the final wave? And you may not always have that sort of good fortune, but yeah, I probably would have. I think I would have scaredy the bottom row a little bit sooner. Yeah, I'm a little bit concerned about the speed at which the zombie dies. So I don't know if there was a lot that you could have done, but just being a little bit more proactive with some of the scaredies in that bottom row, I was a little bit got a little ahead of myself. Same sort of thing here. I definitely try to prioritize busting the graves in column 6 early, then sort of column 5 and column 9 alternating, and then probably column 7 and column 8. For the very last. The graves in column 8 like really just don't have a lot of value. Oh, I guess that's right. You don't take the Hypno Shroom on this level. It does definitely help by a second or two in the final wave, but yeah, no, this sucks. So again, another reason why I like sometimes trying to get a grave busted in column 9 or 2 if you don't have a good spot for a fume shroom can be kind of valuable, but ugh, god, the screen doors just really kill the time on this level. I'm a little bit worried. Yeah, you're probably gonna end up losing 10 seconds here, or honestly even a little bit more. It's just screen doors are ridiculous, but what can you do? I think I would have gone that grave next. Oh, good. Now you get dancer zombies. Excellent. I like the fumes though. I like the extra fumes. Just preparing yourself for the inevitable screen door bits.
Christmas dinner. Funny. We
Christmas
didn't do
dinner
Christmas dinner.
or Easter egg. That's a good question. I guess you get all types, Yeah. Definitely.
Do Christmas lunch.
I'm hoping I'm hoping we're able to bust the grave. Yeah, okay, yeah, you did. Actually, that you dealt with really quickly, and I think it was nice actually that you had the 2 fumes right up there, and you sort of stalled that zombie the way that you did. So again, that's where the chomper definitely pays off, is on the final wave there. But sometimes you have to wait a little bit anyway. So I find the Hypno, I like the Hypno because sometimes it really helps against that rogue screen door zombie that just could easily cost you 15 or 20 seconds because he's a pain in the ass and shows up in a row where you just can't deal with it otherwise. So that's really the reason that I take the Hypno Shroom. It definitely, it's definitely a teeny bit slower on the final wave because you gotta wait for the dancer zombie, the backup zombie to appear on screen. But I think it's worth it. This sucks. Boy, this was borderline. You just let those 2 zombies go. You really don't need the money. And you're eventually, yeah. I actually think it would have been better to let these 2 zombies go, and just sort of saved your firepower for this wave, because I was worried you were actually going to lose them both. I think you might actually. Oh wow, yeah, okay. Well, you didn't, but now those 2 scaredies are kind of worthless, and Yeah, I don't know. Yeah, all right. This is a good reaction to this, but this kind of sucks to start off 210. I feel your pain on this one. He was pretty slow too.
Well, that's a kind thing to do. Guess it
I'll
depends
definitely
on
get
how often you.
I think would have gotten a hypno out. I think the hypno there is better than the doom. I think I think I would have hypnoed the previous one and then doomed the dancer zombie hopefully before he spawned the backup dancers.
Be the biggest deterrent.
And just more a matter of preference, and then you would have had a hypno for this guy. But again, I like that placement. That was probably the best spot that you could have done given your circumstances. I like that. Yeah, try to stall him out a little bit. You know, wait for the doom. I try to place the doom in a little, and sometimes I'll just try to place them a little bit farther down. And with the exception of the 9th wave where you have to, you got to kill everything. Kind of sucks that you don't have a doom available for this, but I think you know, if I'm going to be honest, I think these levels have had the most number I think this level's had the most number of mistakes, or at least things that I would have done differently. You know, I don't like the puffs that ended up back here. I honestly just would have let those zombies go.
You
know, hoping to get a little bit of value. I would have used a hypno when you use some of the dooms and vice versa. So. Again, this is one of the hardest levels to like plan and try to react to. So it's hard to like it's hard to say exactly, you know, what to do in all the different circumstances. I like to play in the second half though. This has been really good so far. Oh wow, a lot of value out of that football. That was great. That was really good. Yep, definitely save your doom for the next wave for sure. If I would have yeah, I think I would. Yeah, I would have doomed that. Just given that you had, you know, a bunch of cone heads in that middle row. That was definitely the right play. I like the placement for 2. You actually could have placed it maybe in the bottom row. Sometimes I'll try to plant a doom in the bottom or top row if I can, just to sort of like save the spot. Like right here, you maybe could have planted it up here just to try to save some of your prime real estate for when you like really need it. But again, it can be tough to like, you know, because you don't want to block off those rows and you need spots to plant the hypnos, so it can be it definitely can be a little bit of a challenge. Yeah, sucks. Yeah, I would use a doom and right in the middle. I actually like your spot right there. That's a little bit better. That's good. That's excellent. Yep, just knowing, yeah, you had a lot of firepower in that top row. That was a good call right there. You could put a hypno right in that bottom row, right there. You know, just to be able to deal with whatever appears there, and then just sort of wait. But I also like your idea of using the double doom like that to deal with any dancer zombies, just so you don't have to wait for the backup dancers. That was a good call. That's something that sometimes if I have 2 dooms in the final wave, I don't always make good use of. But I think it was definitely the right call there.
Usually.
All right, and overall, again, a 109.40 is good. I always try to be sub 110 right here, but if you can get close to, you know, a mid to low 109, that's definitely a solid time. Yeah. So again, in terms of the night levels overall, you know, pretty good RNG with the with the spawns, but again, you know, I also think I think you managed most of the final waves very well. And again, even though, you know, there was definitely some times that I maybe disagreed with the decisions, and at 110 or 210, I think you dealt with the second half very well. So, you know, it's sort of hard to tell, right? What's the butterfly effect? You know, would have you saved? You know, would have changing, you know, those early waves caused the second half to go worse? It's a little bit hard to say. Again, I like that there. I'm not sure about the hesitation there because you already had your potato mine off cooldown, so I wouldn't worry too much about hesitating unless you're waiting for the potato mine to come off cooldown. I think you could have been a little bit quicker there. sort of been ready. Oh yeah, yeah. Again, definitely the right decision to let this guy go. You know, still got to wait a couple of seconds. He ended up being just a little bit slower than maybe you would have liked. But that's. I may have to try this, walnut in the middle strategy. Yeah, I do like it. I do see the value. It's, you end up kind of maybe needing a walnut for one of the early zombies as well. In your case, you didn't. So, it can maybe be a little bit tough. Although the walnut recharge time really actually isn't that bad at all. And nice, I agree with your potato mine placement there, and you can see it really paying the dividends here for sure. Definitely, yep, I was going to say, going to want to, yep, that's exactly what I would have done right in that ninth column there. No need to hesitate on that, just get that guy dead. Same thing right here, anyway. Don't hesitate for a second, just get him dead. Yep, and I like, getting a proactive spot there. Again, yeah, that would have been my only feedback, maybe putting a second pea shooter there. And again, hopefully you get a nice spot in this this sort of columns 3, 4, and 5 for cherry bomb right at the end, right in that 8th row. Hopefully, we'll see. Yep. Okay, great call there. Yep. Whenever you get a zombie that's that far forward in the pool, I think that's what you have to do. Yeah. Again, I'd go. Yeah, it's tough. I would have honestly probably gone Chomper. I would have gone Chomper first, just given, what a problem. Given that you sort of know that the second and fifth rows really suck. If you do the Chomper first, then your pea shooter can start working on the zombie that's in the back a little bit. And, your cherry bomb, you're going to be able to plant the cherry bomb in a good spot anyway. So that would be the only feedback there. I would have swapped the order of the Chomper and the cherry bomb. Gone Chomper first, right when you saw that the Conehead was in front, and then sort of let the pea shooter start to do a little bit of work, then gone cherry, and then maybe finished up with the last with another pea shooter or another chomper if you absolutely had to. I know you were sort of waiting on chompers anyway because you had to use one in the pool, but I just mean sort of like right when that chomper's off cooldown, see if you can plant it a little. All right, we'll see you in an hour then, Ruskell. Yeah. So, I'm always like torn what to do at the beginning of 1-2 if I run into shenanigans like that.
That's fair enough.
I think that was the way to go. Sometimes what I do is I'll just wait for the first zombie to appear and then either squash it and then plant the potato mine just a little bit later. But again, I think a situation like that is honestly fine.
Maybe 6.
Again, here I like the idea of holding off on the potato mine. Honestly, hope that the zombie appears in the 4th, the 6th column, or the 6th row, but sometimes it won't. Honestly, you maybe could have planted that potato mine a little bit sooner because you knew that your squash was going to be off cooldown. And same thing as last time, you would have been able to protect it. And I like your delaying the squash just a little bit there. I think you should be okay here with that potato mine. Yep. Now you should be able to get a lot of value out of that lawnmower. You should have put yourself in a good position. Should probably be able to use a potato mine against, against that. That's exactly what I would have done, and I would have squashed this. Yep, exactly. Yep, basically, yep. You're kind of playing that more or less exactly as I would have, with exception of sort of how we dealt with. Sucks. Yeah. I think this is the right move here. Try to get the value there and then immediately plant the repeater. Yep. Again, if you may need to use a walnut here to protect the pea shooter. This guy's pretty fast. Yep. Same kind of thing. I'd plant the potato mine. Okay, I like this. Because you know that it's going to take you a little bit of time to deal with this particular wave. So I actually do like this.
I didn't think it was a cheesecake.
Yeah, sucks that you had to delay your sunflowers a little bit, but yep, and you can see, yep. Again, I think this was really, really very good here, with the placement. And now, honestly, you might be able to get another potato mine out in the 5th, the 5th row, too. So yeah, I would have gone 5th row here. Again, that row really does need a little bit more protection. And given that even if you do get a zombie here, you're going to plant the cherry bomb, yep, right there in the pool anyway, to be able to protect those 2 rows. So I think you would have been able to protect your cherry bomb. Yep. Oh, well, all right, I eat crow. I still think odds are that pays off, and you did have the squash available right there. Anyway, so I still think I still think it was better to plant the cherry bomb in the other spot, but again, maybe I'm wrong. I'm probably wrong.
It's kind of difficult.
Again, that was my disclaimer at the very beginning. You know, I can and will be wrong. You know, many times, but that's what we got. And again, what I found with this level 2 is, yep, exactly like you're doing here. Once you get the repeaters in every row and 2 in the middle row, it really makes a lot of sense to just start using chompers. You know, it just ends up, saving a lot more time than, like, really each repeater at this point only helps your damage by like 10%, whereas the chompers help your damage by like 50 to 100%, honestly, on each subsequent wave. So sort of alternating chompers with the occasional squash. Actually, here you don't need to because you have the potato mine to do the work. Let's see what you get here. So I would have chompered just because you're on the 9th wave. Although, actually, yeah, you want to deal with those 2. So I actually would have done the same thing. I would have gone squash and then squash then chomper, just given that there were definitely some problems there.
Now the RNG hates you.
Good. And actually, yeah, I didn't even think about this, but you almost get the potato mine back. It's so valuable. Yep. So I would have gone. Actually, I guess it doesn't matter either way. Yeah, both those rows were going to die around the same time, so
wow, there was
not
so
a
much
lot
to
that you could have.
Okay.
Yeah. Right. How do you save time on that level? Oh, let's kind of go back and think. Yeah, I don't know if there was too much. I think the one crappy wave that you had was the one newspaper and regular zombie that you had in the first flag. I don't necessarily know how that could have gone too much different, but yeah, God, how to save time in that level? Good question. I'd honestly maybe have to watch it again. There's maybe one instance where you could have gotten a potato mine out a little quicker, but I don't know, just blame it on RNG or something like that. Yeah, you also didn't get your sunflowers out super quickly on that level, so I'm wondering if that was something that was maybe holding you a little bit back. But again, 5 minutes isn't a bad time at all for that level. Getting in the 440s is really ridiculous. It's really very hard. So honestly, I don't even think a 5 minute time is that bad. I don't think we can really complain about that. And yeah, definitely throw that potato mine up. Yeah, I think what you're going to do here is, again, hold off a second or two on your squash, just to make sure that potato mine has time to arm. I agree with your timing almost exactly. That was good. I might have played it a little conservative, but a little more conservative, but no, it was perfect. Yeah, timing there was very good. Probably would have dug this up. Yeah, okay, you do. Maybe a tad quicker, but and probably use the potato mine on that top row, I think. Yep. Probably save for a squash here. It looks like you're going well. Yep. Again, these cone heads are super annoying, so that's good. You have maybe a few more lily pads out early in the level than I normally would. It just, you do sometimes end up needing a little bit of that sun for your first or second repeater. And you're not that far behind, particularly where this is 3-3 and you don't need tons and tons of lily pads in the pool. Obviously it helps a little bit here, and again, I agree with your decision to squash this guy, and I assume you're probably just going to throw up a repeater whenever you can. That's pretty good. I agree holding off on the potato mine, maybe putting it in the 5th row or something like that. Oh yeah, yeah, this is good. This works for sure. Oh, that's interesting. Yeah, I think that was probably worth it, to be honest, because then it gives you time. Yeah, I'd get that repeater out just to The one thing that I maybe don't like about that is now it does sort of leave you in a tough position with the diver zombies. What I actually would have done is used a squash there, because that would have gotten you extremely close to your 50% rule, and then, you know, potentially saved a cherry for a little bit later on. Kind of sucks. Yeah. All right, this was actually kind of a good time to get the double cone head. Usually the double cone head is not very fun for this but I'd also try to, you know, almost as soon as the walnuts are off cooldown, I try to get one in the 9th column, just to really be able to deal with those diver zombies. You know, they're such a pain in the ass that anything you can do to get the walnuts up there a little bit sooner, I think pays off, just because it takes a long time to be able to get the second one, you know, up and sort of in the right spot as well. Also, having a lily pad in the 9th column is not necessarily a bad thing anyway. You actually have not gotten a lot of divers here at all. I think that's going to really think that's going to help your time a little bit.
Surprisingly, no diving zombies here.
Oh, yep, you saw the same thing I did. Yep, I like that. I like that chomper. See if we can move along with life.
There we go.
Yeah, you get one there, but are there 2 of them? Oh, 2 of them on the 9th wave. Jesus. Wow. That kind of sucks, but yeah, that might have been worth the squash, to be honest. That's such a pain in the ass. Although the squash really does help for the final wave as well. And I like getting those chompers up. That'll help with whatever, shenanigans go up in the pool. I hope it's a 3rd call. Yep, I was going to say a 3rd row cherry bomb. And now you should be able to, squash the top, chomper the bottom, and be done. Ugh, that stinks. You didn't quite get that guy back in time. But
good level.
Yeah, still you're looking at basically a 5 or just, I thought you were going to be just sub 5 minute 3-3, which is very, very good. Yeah, really no complaints. How was the lag bin, guys? Is it all right? Is it? Yeah, I didn't think the screen capture was going to make quite as much of a difference, but here we go. All right, 3-4. I actually kind of like 3-4. I know it's weird, but like, it just feels so good to have the Tangle Kelp. Actually, I should say, I like 3-4 if I have enough money for it. It ends up being one of my favorite pool levels. Again, if I have the money for it. But, that said, I would have been pretty aggressive with the squash here, I think. I think I would have been aggressive with the squash there, and basically then just sort of played the wait and see game with where the 4th zombie appeared. It's probably a little bit better to play it safe like you did here. I think personally I would have gone greedy. It would have made it a little bit tough to deal with this 3rd wave. I might have honestly let him go too. Yeah, this is tough. Yeah, the layout that you got here ended up making it, yeah, a little bit. Oh, I guess I should. I guess I don't really like 3-4. I guess it depends on how many vaulters you get. You get the Tangle Kelp, which is nice. Again, in my opinion, a few too many lily pads early on. Again, we really just don't need the pool at all now that we have the Tangle Kelp. So I think saving your money, and again, what I do here maybe is try to get a pea shooter out or 2. I think that really makes a lot of sense. Ugh, another Vaulter, but you actually got your squash back in time. So again, I like the play there. Oh, you got another one. I'd probably cherry this guy, especially where it's the 9th wave. You would have had to kill. Yeah, I'd say if both of the zombies had appeared in the top row, I think that would have been worth a cherry. But because it wasn't, I think it's fine to play it like this. You end up being a little bit slow getting this guy dead, but it's not the end of the world. again, you know, I just sort of find, you know, you maybe have a few too many lily pads here. Again, it's nicer on this level to go a little bit early with the lily pads, just because, you know, you have so many, you have so much sun to place, but just, you know, where you don't need to plant really anything at all in the pool level. I don't know about that cherry bomb. I think you were pretty close to the 50% rule, and I really wasn't worried about the pool or the especially because you had a Tangle Kelp that was coming off cooldown. I really wasn't that worried about the pool or anything like that anyway. So I kind of disagree with the timing of that cherry. The timing of that cherry, I think that you know, is maybe a slight mistake. Yeah, I think I like the repeater there a little bit better too. Just sort of hold off and sort of deal with that guy fashionably. I think I would have done that too. Just go squash. You could have gone another repeater in that row, and that would have been more than enough firepower to deal with him. But you also kind of need a repeater in the third row as well. Yeah, I can try to get that that chomper out. Could have done that a little bit sooner. Not a difference. This was good. Yeah, it kind of stinks. You know, sometimes I try to plant a lily pad only when I know what the next wave is going to have. Because you sort of found there, you ended up being a little bit delayed, needing to wait for that lily pad and then use the squash a bit later than you otherwise might have liked to. Particularly where you didn't need that lily pad in the third row that you had right there. I think that was maybe a slight misstep there. The other thing I was going to say is I like the Tangle Kelp there. I thought what you were going to do is use a Chomper in the second row because you were on the 9th wave, or I guess the 19th wave. Yeah, not too bad. I probably would have planted the cherry actually in the second row, knowing there you would have gotten. Oh, you saved the squash or the potato mine anyway, so do I know. Again, the reason for that just being that then you can save the potato mine. I was kind of worried that you weren't going to. Yep, Tangle Kelp that bad boy right away. This is pretty good. Yeah, you should be able to. Yeah, I don't think you're gonna get too much of a bad time here at all. You did get kind of a lot of vaulters in the first flag, but luckily you were able to squash most of them. So I think a level that could have ended up being kind of bad for you really actually isn't going to be really shouldn't be too bad at all. I don't know about digging up that chomper. I don't actually think you had to do that. I think they were gonna, because you had three repeaters there. I think they would have. I think you would have lived anyway, and you might have been able to save that chomper in the 8th row just in case something bad came around, and presumably the final wave, but. Not too much of a mishap. Really ended up with a lot of sun here. Yeah, you're gonna Tangle Kelp him. Yeah, I actually would have gone Chomper there and saved the Tangle Kelp for the final wave. Just given that your Tangle Kelp now is probably not going to be off cooldown, and your Chomper definitely would have been. So I think you actually should have Chompered that diver zombie. Bad. Although I guess you're gonna end up, kind of using a cherry bomb anyway. But you might have been able to Tangle Kelp the third row, maybe saved a second. But yeah, again, so overall a decent level. Certainly nicer if you can get in the 330 to 340 time frame, but really not too much. It did feel like your sun production was excellent there, so maybe there could have been a circumstance somewhere along the line where you could have been a little more aggressive with a chomper or an extra cherry in between the waves, or an extra repeater a little bit sooner, because you did have a really good sun situation for most of the levels. So maybe that's where the time save could have come, and that one situation of maybe kind of flip flopping. What the heck was it? I can't even. But whatever it was, but again, honestly, you've been playing great so far. Like, I can tell that this run is going to be on like a 330 or a 331 pace. You're really, things have gone really, really well. Obviously, that 3-8 gold was ridiculous and really sort of put things, put things ahead. The daytime, your day levels themselves like didn't have the greatest time. I don't, there really wasn't a ton differently that you could have done there. Again, a couple extra, pea shooters and stuff, but that's what you get. Maybe a little bit of okay, you did get the cherries that you needed for the 9th wave. So yeah, those guys out. Maybe it could have been a hair faster, but sometimes it is hard to tell if you have like a slow zombie running in the back. You actually got a pretty good balance, I would say, of firepower compared to cherries, compared to all that other stuff. And maybe could have gone earlier with that cherry. I don't like using 2 cherries there. I think that was maybe a slight mistake. Consider maybe saving that for one of the later one of the later waves, just because
Whoops.
Yeah, obviously that was a misclick, but yeah. I like the placement of everything so far. Yeah, I like this too. You have a lot that's sort of eating that walnut, and you had a football zombie that you can deal with to sort of speed along the 50% rule a little bit in this level, so that's good. A couple of cherries, I would probably go top row here. Yeah, I like that. That's very good. Sometimes I'm a little. I know I'm a little bit too aggressive with my cherries, and then I end up not having enough for the 9th wave and the final wave. One thing you could do here is actually dig up that walnut and replant it. That's probably what I would have done at this point. Yeah, you see, you and I think we've both done this before. Yeah, you just end up like using one more cherry bomb than you really should have, and in this case, I think it was that cherry bomb that you used where you used 2 in the huge wave rather than just using 1. I think that was maybe a slight, just a little bit of a misstep. I also don't love that situation you have right in the pool itself. Yeah, just needing to wait for that 1 extra cherry bomb, and not a huge deal. A 310 is a good time here, so it's not that bad. But if you were looking to get in that 305, or even 3-minute range, that's probably what you would have had to do. I thought for a second we weren't going to buy the rake, but that's good. I like how you hit enter right after you buy the rake. That's a trick I've been trying to adjust a little bit as well. It looks like you have a lot of time to save on this level, so that's pretty good. But a 437 is stupid. Boy, that might be like
thrown out the window instantly.
That might be like near like a global gold. I forget what my gold is on that level, but that's really, really, really good. So again, a 445 I think is realistic for this one. Maybe a 450. So hopefully you can save 10 or 15 seconds here. I don't know about getting a 437. That feels a bit silly. I like everything you've done so far. I like the early Tango Kelp. You got pretty good Sun RNG. Yep. Right. Again, theoretically, that Tango Kelp could have cost you a little bit of time with that with the squash, but honestly, you're going to be waiting on potato mines or sunflowers or things like that anyway. So it's bad. Yeah, Sun RNG kind of slowed down a little bit here, but good. Again, you're maybe a hair early with some of the lily pads, but honestly, your waves are so well protected that I actually don't dislike it here.
Yeah, it's just a while since the one that's actually going.
I don't know if I would have gone all the way up to 3 pads. So I don't like your order of operations here. I would have gone repeater first so that you could deal with the 50% roll. Maybe then immediately after that gone for the potato mine to get that back off cooldown, and then gone for your and then gone to keep up with the sunflowers. I think that's maybe slightly better order. I actually like this. Wow, holy crap!
Yeah, this is
Diamond City.
Centric run.
Yeah, seriously. Good. I would have gone sunflower here first. Try to get your sun production up a little bit, and I think you could have been more aggressive and moved that potato mine all the way over. I don't think you were going to get a in counting the 2 waves. I don't think you were going to get another zombie in the bottom row before the huge wave. So couple of very slight things there that I would have gone differently. I would have done differently, but honestly, you still got a, what was it, a 335, 340, or sorry, 245, 240 first flag. So again, what do I know? I can't complain. Love the cherry placement there. That was perfect. You saved both of the Tangle Kelps. Almost looks like you're going for the bobsled bonanza strat right here. Yeah. Oh, I thought you were going to get both of them. I actually thought I thought you were going to get both of them, but I do like that. Again, I guess theoretically you could have argued that if you had put the potato bide where I did, you would have wasted it and not been able to do that. But you would have been able to use a squash there. So I still think on average you're playing slightly better odds by putting the potato mines a little bit more aggressively. I was gonna say, I hope you don't waste that Tangle Kelp. That was. I actually like this. I like the second. I like the second pea shooter there. Just get yourself to 50%. Things moving along. Yep, I like the potato mine chomper strategy there. That was good. Getting the. Hopefully you squash that top row. Yep. Very good. Ah, yeah, sucks you couldn't gotten that guy dead in time. Probably go. Yeah, I think I would have Tangle Kelped one of them. I honestly might have gone repeater, yeah, for the second row. You just get zombies galore going on in row. Top row is going to be a little bit, yeah, I would have gone repeater on the top row as well, and then probably chomped, yep, just like you're doing right here, chomp, yep. So I think we would have played this level like almost identically, again, with the exception of the one cherry placement, and again, maybe a couple of earlier lily pads than I would have personally. I think that's I really think that makes a lot of sense. Yep, wash there for sure. Just get rid of that crap. Yep, try to get that off before. Yep, you did. Yep, perfect. Yeah, and you should be able to get one more chomper out here. Again, I don't know what it was that second row. They were like freaking littering you with zombies. Yep. So again, you maybe could have squeaked out a sub 450 there, but again, 450 is really good for that level. I'd have no complaints at all. For me, I think that would be within 10 seconds of my gold, which is always my time. I really, with every level, I try to shoot for that, within 10 seconds of gold kind of time frame. But there you go. Oh yeah, and that's the other thing. Like I fully admit here, like it is so easy to play, Monday morning quarterback or backseat driver here. It can be very tricky, in the time. So I hope none of this is taken as criticism. I mean, you're seriously playing excellent at this point. You're on great pace. I'm just trying to like think of like little things that either I try to think of and usually fail, or just like very, very small, like situations like that. So, again, really none of this is being critical. I mean, this is a seriously excellent run. So I wanted to try to keep this particular stream as like a pretty, keeping things pretty high level. Little things that, sometimes either I don't think of enough, or if someone else who's watching it that's not one of us, might not think of that regularly. What I might have done here, honestly, is gone with an aggressive squash. You haven't been able to, it's been off cooldown for a little bit of time. I was going to say, so if you had planted it in the second row, you might have been able to greed out, another squash. Kind of stinks that it's not working out, but I like your decision to use a repeater here. Kind of stinks. I probably would have I might have put that actually in the second row. A little bit worried about its safety, but in the sixth row, just in case you get something. Okay, all right, it worked out. Stand corrected. Luckily, the speed of that zombie wasn't too bad. If you'd been just a little bit faster, you might have been able to time that perfectly. But look at this. This is going to be a silly first half. My God. Really should be very good. I agree with the chomper potato strat there. Again, it's it would have taken a long time to be able to get your repeater out and kill him that way. And where you were on the ninth wave, that was very important. And I see a very tempting looking cherry bomb spot. I hope you take strong advantage of that. Oh, you may not have enough. Yeah, damn it. it just didn't have enough sun to make it happen, unfortunately. Sometimes that is the thing with getting like an excellent time in the first half, like you did here. You know, sometimes it can be tough at the very beginning of the second wave to, the second flag rather, to make things happen. If you didn't have quite as many lily pads as you did, you might have been able to get that cherry a little bit sooner and save the save the squash. But again, like, now it's kind of nice having those having the extra lily pad or two. So it's a very fine it is a very fine line to play, I would say. Yeah. I'm a little worried. Okay, yeah, that's good. Oh, nice! Wow, you even saved the lily pad too. I did not think you were saving that. That is for sure. I actually would have held off on that. I would have held off on that Tangle Kelp, killed that the fourth row with a repeater, and then saved the Tangle Kelp for a situation like this, where in either one of those rows, you ended up with a cone head. It would have been a little bit, but you're getting a lot of cone heads here. That kind of sucks for your time now. But yeah, now you should be able to plant a nice Tangle Kelp, get rid of this guy, and honestly, maybe, yep, I was gonna say either Chomper or, yeah, I might have tried to greed out that that Chomper placement. I don't know if that would have gone well for me. But it's actually super nice that you got that you got a Zomboni that early, because I think that was the only plant that you got in that 9th wave. Yep, I like that. Great, excellent timing with that. That was picture perfect. Yeah, it kind of sucks. You might have, I don't know if using a squash. I think the squash there might have actually helped a little bit. Also, try to, man, I maybe would have. No, man, you keep getting the bucket heads. You knew the bucket heads were inevitable, and unfortunately, I think it's costing you a little bit of time to start off this 3rd flag. But again, not a lot you can do. Yeah. Oh, yeah. And I know you volunteered. Yeah. So again, you know, I just, when I say critic, I know sometimes people think that implies criticism, or that I'm doing this so that, like, I can shit on you or something like that. And I know you know that that's not the case. That honestly, this is as helpful. I hope this is as helpful for me as it is for you. You know, there's at least a little bit of self-interest with, like, sort of studying how someone else plays and be like, ooh, you know, I like what he did here. Or, ooh, you know, like, I see myself doing this, and I could, you know, this could go different. You know, I mean, I think, you know, I think ultimately, like you know, YB is so far ahead of us that, you know, I think it's going to take a little bit of, I think it's going to take a little bit of a community effort to sort of learn how we as runners can improve a little bit. I loved the second half of this flag, by the way. I think you played it really absolutely perfectly, and you should be setting yourself up for a good time here. I hope you get like a 620 or something like that. It should be very good. Yep, Tangle Kelp right there. This is looking good. You know, try to cherry. It maybe could have gone cherry there. You wouldn't have had to deal with some of that stuff. But yep, and then put a cherry right at the top.
That was a really strong level.
Really strong level indeed. Yeah, that was really good. Again, a 611 is you know, not going to happen too often, but that's no, that was very good. This was probably your strongest pool level, if not, I think the strongest level from, well, I guess 3-8 was played perfectly, but there's more of an RNG component. But in terms of like raw execution, this was definitely one of the strongest levels I think so far in the run. Really very good play. Oh, hello, welcome back. Yeah, and 3-8 I find like this really what this level hinges on is if you get like back to back dolphin zombies at the beginning of the second flag, you know, like one and you know, you can use a cherry, you can use a squash, you can use a chomper, you can maybe use even a Tangle Kelp, but like you know, a lot of this level comes down to how many dolphin zombies the game decides to throw you at you in short order. Yep, I like that decision. Again, if you get another zombie that appears there, you can just wash. Not a big deal.
Yeah, and you didn't, so that was good. Again, I like the squash there. It would have taken that zombie too long to reach line, so that was good. Kind of protect that row for a little bit. Nice. I was hoping that this worked out. I really was.
We do this.
Yep. So that's the other thing I was going to say with the lily pad advice.
Yeah,
I think we've both been burned by it. You're trying to play the situation of like, okay, I have to plant a lily pad here because I need to use a chomper in the front row, but now I can't plant sunflowers, so I run behind on sunflowers. So what I would say is, like, if your choice was not planting enough lily pads or planting too many, you're way better off planting too many. That's really, really good. I think it was just the situations where you had like 5 or 6 idle lily pads sitting there. I think that's just a little bit too many. I think that you may have overcompensated by just a little bit. It's really, but again, overcompensating is much better than the other way. Again, you got another sub 30 first flag. Again, you did get decent RNG, but again, I like the decisions that were made at the beginning of this one. Again, you end up being a little bit behind on sun, but again, it's also nice to have a lily pad available like you do here for again, maybe it's tough there. You would have been in kind of a tricky spot. And again, sometimes your Tangle Kelps end up getting wasted like this a little bit. This is sort of the situation I was talking about. Like, if you find now you get another dolphin zombie, that's when this level, especially if it had been in the third row again, that's when this level gets really out of control. Again, I love the chomper placement there. I think that was a good call. You're a little bit behind in repeaters, but I don't necessarily think that you should have done anything differently. Yep, again, I like the repeater in that third row. And unfortunately, you did lose the potato mine. It must have been very close. I'll bet you were within a half second or something like that. I might have actually gone squash there and saved the Tangle Kelp because the squash is a little bit faster for non dolphin zombies, and the Tangle Kelp is a little bit faster for dolphin zombies. But again, you don't always have that luxury, so better to use something and get it off cooldown than to wait around forever for it. This is actually looking pretty good. We should be able to use a Tangle Kelp here. And now, if you have to, you have a squash or a chomper that you can use for the 9th wave. This is looking pretty good. I would have immediately put another repeater down on the second, on the bottom row, just given that, it was hard to see, but you did actually have 2 zombies there, so this is going to be a slight time loss, not a huge thing, but it's always difficult on that 9th wave because you're like, all right, I have a chomper, I have a squash, I have more repeaters, I only have this much sun. Like, how do I deal with that, perfectly efficiently? Yep, great spot right there. Hopefully you use that. Either way, I think cherry there and squash there, or you could have done it the other way around. You could have put the cherry in the 3rd row, and the squash in the 5th row, but either way, I think that's good. 450 is a solid time there.
Okay, this level was very tough to optimize, but
hard to deal with. You're doing a good job with your plant selection so far. Honestly, better than I've been doing, where I'm a little bit rusty on any percent thing, but there you have it. Take a little bit of a water break here. All right, heading off to sleep after 310. Yep, I'll make a highlight, and it'll be sort of on my video channel and things like that too. Certainly don't blame me at all for needing to go to bed. I appreciate you sticking around. I hope this has been some fun and some value and things like that. And certainly we'll make it through the rest of the run. We'll see what other little things could have gone better, could have gone differently. Again, it is always more difficult to sort of actually sit in the driver's chair and things like that. Than it is to kind of sit here and be like, oh, I would have done this, I would have done this. You have to kind of always tougher to be the one multitasking and to sort of be put on the spot too. But again, I think that this has been a really great run. It's a hair full of different things. I'd be interested if YMB were ever interested in one of these feedback runs or something like that, or I don't know how comfortable he is speaking English. I know his written English is very good, but maybe potentially giving us a little bit of help to see if we can. That would be very interesting. Then it would be the Jedi Master training the apprentice as opposed to the other way around, but that's what we got. Pretty nice start here. Sometimes I actually don't like getting the 3 regular zombies here. It can be a little bit tough to deal with, but luckily they all showed up in spots that were pretty good to deal with. Yeah, getting 2 of them in a row though definitely sucks. God, I don't know how I would have done. Yeah, I would have done the same thing here. I would have gone sunflower. I might have actually put that sunflower in the 8th column and gone squash. But although actually the squash wouldn't have even been necessary because you're gonna finish these right around the same time anyway. So I actually like the way you handled that. I think you did that a little bit better than I would have. I might have been
slow,
in your position. I might have gone proactive squash.
Here, then.
It was slow, but with the vaulters and things like that, and getting all those regular zombies as opposed to getting like sort of the more high efficiency cone heads. I don't know if there was a lot that you that you really could have done. Sucks that one of those Tango Kelps kind of had to go to waste too, but not a lot you could have done there for sure. All right, I like this. I think personally I would have gone repeater for the 4th row, just trying to. But I think your method was a little bit faster, particularly in trying to speed along that one. Again, I guess having a repeater here might have been a little bit nice for those rows, but that's not too bad. You could have saved yourself the Tango Kelp too, but. So hard to say what was the right decision there. Again, it was nice to be able to really speed along that top row, and actually, yeah, now it's paying off even more. You now have two Torchwoods out, which is great for this point in level. Got all your stuff. Definitely good use of Chomper. Far more important to use a Chomper there. What I like doing here, I think it's better to use a squash. Oh, you don't have a squash off cooldown. I tend to try to squash those guys. Yeah, I think actually a Torchwood there still would have been a little bit faster, although yeah, you end up kind of getting them both down anyway. So, yeah, I like that too. You could have theoretically squashed them, but you're gonna end up finishing this around the same time anyway. That was a good Torchwood right at the end. You actually got you have a 4:30 second flag time, and you have almost all your Torchwoods down and a couple extra. Repeaters, so this is actually a very, very enviable spot to be at this point. I probably would have gone Torchwood there over another repeater. Again, very slight change to the order of operations, but it's not a huge deal. Yep. I like your patience there. I think that's better. Fortunate. Yeah, I like not using a Chomper there. I was gonna say for that very reason, you could end up needing the Chomper. In another wave or two, and again, a small price to pay now, but you end up really adding some nice extra firepower to that row. I think the value is there. I like that situation. Again, a little bit tough. It would have been nice to be able to Chomper that guy, but honestly, you had enough firepower in some of the other rows.
I had some cookies before I started.
What is it with the pool levels? I probably would have Chompered that guy. I don't know if that would have been the right decision, and then Tangle Kelped this one, but opposed to the other way around. Holy cow. That's right. I remember when I was looking at it or starting to verify it that, the diamond luck was ridiculous. So obviously now we won't be getting diamonds for like the next 3 runs or 4 runs in a row, but that's what life is. Man, look at that. Look at that. Four repeaters in a row. I don't know if I've ever had that. Maybe once, but that is a great setup for not having the cherry. Yeah, so I might have actually gone Chomper there, to be honest, and saved the squash for like like potentially another row where you might have needed it more, but you know, and sometimes that's a little, you know, I think overall it was fine. That was a very fast final wave, and you got a sub 630, which is great for this level. That's definitely good. Yeah, again, the back half of these pool levels have been super strong. I think this is going to be a tough part of your run to run against next time, but next time doesn't matter now, does it? So there you go.
3-peater straight away. Oh, another one. Looks promising.
Yeah, so far so good. Really nice to get 2 3-peaters at the beginning of this one. Yep. Even having a spike weed or two sort of helps your damage output by at least a little bit.
Perfect for vegans.
Very good start. I might have squashed him. Might have gone greed mode. Just because, you know, you're not going to be able to do a ton of damage to that back zombie in the 5th row. I think I would have squashed him. It's hard for the squashes to have like tons and tons of value. And I might have squashed this one too. I tend to be a little bit more aggressive with some of my instants in the first half, while always making sure you at least have 1 or 2 instants in your back pocket, so that if you get some bucket heads early, you can still deal with them. But yeah, once you're getting up to like your 3rd or your 4th instant, I think it makes sense to use them. Definitely a jalapeno or a squash here. Definitely good 3-peater RNG. Not great Torchwood RNG, but can't get everything now, can you? That would just be silly. Alright, I like that squash. That was good. That was a good one. Again, I think you would have had a little bit more value from it earlier in the run. Yeah, definitely jalapeno there.
Wow, 3-peater city. All we need now is like Torchwood and we'd be set.
Yep. That is an insane number of 3-peaters for the first flag. There have been times I haven't had this many 3-peaters by the end of the 2nd flag. So this is great. I might have actually held off on that Torchwood just to see like what rows are going to be problems. And like the pool to me seems like a little bit more of a threat than the land, just because you have the spike weed and stuff on the land, and it's a little easier to use some of your stuff. Just a small sort of thing, but again, hopefully the game is a little bit more generous with you down the road. Oh, you had all the Torchwood, but 6 3-peater. Yep. They would never give you a perfect balance, now would they? That would just never happen. I think, in theory, if you were like, right, trying to task this or something like that, I think the perfect thing. I love this 3-peater because now you have a really good spot to put it, because those are your weakest rows. So I like that 3-peater spot. This one's pretty good too. This one's really fine. Let's see. What do we? I probably would have gone jalapeno. Yeah. Although, yeah, actually, yeah, it ended up being. I think it ended up being a little bit better to hold off on it, so that was good. Just sucks, you know, that you don't have a great solution. Yeah, this is definitely worth the jalapeno. Save that 2 or 3 seconds for sure. I think, in theory, if you were tasking this, the perfect order of operations would be 2 3-peaters to start, 6 Torchwoods, maybe an instant or 2 to, like, really speed along the first half, and then, you know, all 3-peaters and stuff after that. I think, again, if you were trying to design something perfect, and then maybe, like, 2 tall nuts for the pool, because I do think having the tall nuts is
There's a lot of firepower there, so I might actually stop it.
Yeah, I actually do think you're going to get this, but I'm hoping that you don't... I don't think you went quite far enough for bobsleds, but I hope the game doesn't decide to... Yeah, damn it. Yeah. Well, luckily it's not that bad, because as you know, when the bobsled itself dies, that satisfies the 50% rule, at least for that row. So that was actually fairly good. Of course, now you get your Torchwood right at the end of the 3rd flag. That's always the way it works. I would have gone squash there as well. And you're actually positioned pretty darn well for the final wave. You know, you got your Tangle Kelp. And actually, I love having a jalapeno or 2 for the final wave. And potentially a backup Torchwood like this, because sometimes if those pool zombies appear in the 7th row, you know, you end up in some trouble. I actually would have used the Tangle Kelp right there. I think that's slightly more optimal, and then, yeah, okay, that in the help either. Very good level. Yep, and certainly possible to get sub 5 minutes. And again, if you had been a little bit more aggressive with some of your instants in the first flag, it might have helped. But then again, you wouldn't have necessarily had as many for the second flag, where you started getting a million Zombonis and stuff too, but that's what we got. Anyway, I know you're probably going to bed soon, so
average 410.
Again, appreciate you stopping by. Appreciate the support. You know, it's been a pleasure. This has actually been a lot of fun. I want to see if I can maybe make this a monthly tradition. You know, for some of the other runners in the future. From a technical perspective, I would definitely want to.
I get the same crappy like I did last time.
I'd probably want to like actually save a physical copy of the video rather than like trying to stream it and stream myself and worry about. I wonder if I'm dropping any stuff too. I dropped a couple frames, but it's not actually that bad. Only about only a couple hundred frames.
Well, thank you for the follow.
Oh, look at that! You got a follow. This is all good. Oh wow! First row is going ham.
I see.
I feel like I haven't played the fog levels in like such a long time. My last like 3 runs have all died by the time I got to 310. So, faster. I like the timing of your first Tangle Kelp there. I think that was picture perfect. Really didn't have to slow down your sun production at all. Gotten a lot of regulars on. A lot of cone. Always way to start this level. Those even. Yeah, you hear some ticking there, so that of course I spoke too soon. Commentator's curse, right? No, this is not live. Maybe could have put one more oh shit. There were 2 of them. Both of the zombies appeared. I was wondering what that was, because I was like, I thought you were due for a Conehead and a regular. They both appeared in that row. Well, that sucks. That is a bunch of crap. Wow. Really didn't get a lot in the pool at all. Yeah, that sick was 7th wave. Really, what effed you this round? That was gross. If you had theoretically realized that, you actually could have used your squash there. I actually think that would have been the play. If you'd somehow realized that, although you might not have had, actually I think you would have had the squash there.
That's annoying.
So, yeah, very annoying. I think if you ever reach the point where you're like, hey, only one of my rows is shooting, but, you know, and you hear the sound of that Conehead, it could mean that the 2 zombies decided to appear in the same row. So I wonder, that's sort of an audio cue that we're going to have to listen to, because I think if somehow, and I didn't realize it either until it was too late. So this is not even something I could have said, oh, well, I would have done this different. I really wouldn't have. That's something definitely to potentially listen to on these fog levels. And if it ever does reach that point, basically do whatever you can to get the 50 sun and use that squash right away, because that's going to be super. Very interesting. Yeah, so we were talking about that, Nika. So what I had to do, unfortunately, is because I wasn't able to download A1's run, I basically had to stream it and then use a display. So right now, it's actually a display of my screen right now. So I'm sort of more going for content quality over visual quality here, but we're saying for the next one, what I might do is I might have whoever the runner is that I'm giving some feedback on, I might have them provide me a copy of the video, like either upload it to YouTube so I can download it, or just use like a file share or something like that, so that I can stream the actual video itself and not a screen display of a stream that I'm streaming for the video. So yeah, so thanks for the feedback. Yeah, but we it's a little laggy, a little choppy, and the video quality unfortunately isn't great, but you know, we'll go for content here, and sort of next time around that we do something like this, make it try to make it a little bit more you know, little bit higher visual quality there. I honestly think what I would have done here is sometimes what I've started doing is planting a lily pad and planting a regular puff shroom right there, because you know you're going to need that lily pad anyway for the huge wave, and it's just a good way, a good cheap way to be able to add a little bit of firepower to the pool while you're waiting for your sea shrooms to come up.
Speed. I should be able to
this is a really good start. You got a 220 first half. You didn't get a lot of cone heads, which is nice. You did a great job getting your scaredy shrooms out. That was probably the strongest point that you had. Yeah, I like this. Unfortunately, you get the old double cone head, which slows you down a little bit. But again, you know, if you'd had a lily pad right in that 8th column right there with a puff shroom, I think you could have added a little bit of damage, output to that row. That would be my only feedback for this level. You know, again, just sort of helps. You know, the sea shrooms have such a long cooldown that you know, it can be a problem. It is good at this point, like you're doing, to dig up the sun sun shrooms. I've sometimes even just stopped at, you know, 10. You know, 11 tops, particularly in the 2 rows that you have your the plantern. Those rows are inevitably going to be a little bit weaker because you're sort of short one spot for some firepower. So just like yep, would have gone with a puff shroom right there. Just even though it's only an extra hit or 2, I still think it's worth it. You could plant a couple of sea shrooms too. Again, it doesn't help by leaps and bounds, but a little bit of firepower I think is good. Yep, excellent decision to use the squash on your 19th wave here. That this is really very good. You know, probably not going to get a gold, but you should end up saving about 10 seconds. So this is so very good. I liked your being patient there. Don't miss the doom. Didn't quite save 10 seconds, but definitely
okay?
pretty solid time save. Anything in the 4 teens on this level, I think, is a great time to shoot. I know it's a small thing, but I liked your optimization there of being able to hit enter right away when they give you that warning about the balloon zombie. That sometimes I have to like look at the thing and I'm like, what balloon zombie? And like it's actually pretty easy to lose about a second there. So definitely nice to, again, what I try to do each level is like mentally prepare myself for like what the beginning of the next level is going to look like. So I'm like, okay, 4-3, and so I know the exact order of things that I need to take. It's like, all right, I'll do lily pad. You know, I have to go sea shroom and plantern. Then I go lily pad, squash, puff shroom, regular sun shroom, doom, and security. And I sort of like know the order that's going to look like. But like each level, the more that you can visualize exactly what you have to do to start that level, the better your execution is going to be. And one very important thing to that is definitely good of you there to identify the cone head. You got plenty of firepower there. I might have greeted out there and gone for a scaredy shroom. It would have really slowed down the sun production, though. I don't necessarily know if that would have been the right move. Anyway, oh wow, I hit there. Alright, hopefully the 50% rule decides to...
I got all the worst luck in the world.
Nice, nice, yep. Got it, for sure.
That's a good sign. Very good sign.
I probably would have been a little bit more aggressive with some of the scaries. I love the squash placement and use there. That was very good. That was very good. Nice. Yep. Well, even if you don't save a ton of time, you shouldn't be losing much, and you're up against a pretty good time here compared to your PB. So I think this is nice. I don't know about digging up the lily pad. I guess you had enough for the other lily pad anyway. Oh, I guess you're maybe worried about losing it. So, yeah, you can always just. I sometimes will stall them out with a puff shroom. And actually, by the time that they eat the puff shroom and then sort of like work their way through the next little bit, it ends up being fine. But you had enough sun anyway, so honestly, it's probably better to do it that way. Just play the level safe, make sure that your lily pad doesn't get eaten. Move right along. So I actually kind of like that. I'll keep that in mind for my runs.
This level now. I mean, every once in a while you'll get the odd level where they'll just continuously every wave throw a dolphin zombie in the second flag, and it just keeps hopping over all your plants and then chewing through everything. It's not like you have unlimited tangle kelp. It did. It would be so much easier to deal with.
Limited tangle kelp strat. That's for our next run. Oh, you're back. Welcome back, Ruskell. Good to see you again. Yep, we've made it through. Made it through the pool levels onto the fog levels, which actually are a little bit shorter than the pool levels because we don't have any flag levels. So we're definitely well over halfway through the run. Probably closer to thirds of the way through the run. So. Hope you guys have enjoyed the content already. Actually, a very nice start to your 4-4. You've had really good, good sun RNG. You've done a great job of keeping up with your plants. Again, a good job now trying to get those first couple of scaredies in there. That can be a little bit of a challenge without slowing down too much. But it is really nice when you can plant your sun as early as you do in this level. And I do like the proactive tangle kelp there. It can just be a real disaster if you end up with a cone head in the pool, because it's just so hard to get enough firepower down there. Hopefully you don't hear for the 9th flag. That's the only maybe comment I would have had. It can be really nice to save a tangle kelp. Just save one tangle kelp for the pool on this 9th flag, because if you get a cone head,
Yeah,
it's really nice to have it available for sure.
Unfortunate occurrence of multiple dolphin zombies.
This is great. I don't know if I've ever seen having 7 scaries out and having so much sun right in the first flag. Again, that just sort of shows the value of that sun production for the run. Now you actually could go a little bit more proactive with some of your lily pads in mind. Just given that you're doing really great on sun, you're gonna not end up you end up not needing too many for the blover zombie at the beginning, or the blover plant at the beginning of the level. Just sort of adds to adds a little bit earlier on some of the spots if you need a spot for an extra puff shroom in the pool, or an extra scaredy or 2 in the pool. Again, nothing wrong with adding a couple more lily pads. I'll sometimes try to get even 3 scaries in the pool, along with a puff shroom or 2. I do think that can be pretty valuable. A solid contender for the tangle kelp. Question. Gotten pretty good RNG, I would say, with those as well. Good. Sucks getting that on the 9th flag, but oh man, you got a ton in the pool. What is this? And what is that?
Not bad.
And if it weren't for that, you could have been pushing a gold here. It just sucks that not only did you get the diver zombie, but you also got another zombie behind that. So you really didn't even have, a huge window necessarily to. Yeah, I like your patience there. If you hadn't, you would have ended up with a very, very slow cone head moving in. So very, very good to.
Tendency to screw this up. So.
Yep. And again, you have so much sun, so much gold or money. It definitely makes sense to buy the rake here. Nice start. 5 squashes, 5 zombies. There's really no need to fool around. Yep, this is actually nice. You should this guy should be able to reach the end of the wow. Yeah, you actually maybe should have just squashed. Yeah, I was gonna say I think you actually had one more squash, believe it or not. A very, very slight mishap there. It can be like so hard to like count the squashes and stuff like as you're you know, as you're going, but it can be, you know, all right. That could have moved it one space farther forward, but again, you know, you maybe risk. Oh man. Good. Oh man, and that guy was just slow.
Decent.
Again, this was this was close to being a super good phase breaker, but instead it was just a little bit sluggish, to be honest. Just kind of, you know, you had kind of bad RNG also with the disco zombie, right in the third flag as well. But yeah, again, you know, it's hard to like keep track of the number of squashes, but basically on that second flag, you were able to get like several. You were able to kill your bucket head with the rake, which was excellent. Then you killed 2 zombies with the squash when you were killing the football zombie. And so with that in mind, you actually sort of have to be thinking like, okay, I've already and you killed 1 zombie just with the regular shooters and so forth. So at that point, you kind of have to be thinking you can basically just squash the rest of the zombies that are available. But again, it is very hard to like keep track of exactly, you know, how many you know, how many zombies you have where and how many squashes you have left and things like that. So yeah, but that said, a 115 is still a good time for that level, so I wouldn't worry too much. I still think a sub 1 minute is technically possible for Base Breaker if you got like just, you know, the most godlike RNG and, you know, you're very, very fast with your clicks and that. Might have tried to squeeze in a Scaredy Shroom there, but I also sort of like the idea of waiting. Ooh, are you kidding? You got another one. Ugh.
It's kind of ridiculous.
Yeah, kind of ridiculous. That's yeah. So the extra Scaredy would have ended up paying off there. Not that there's any way you could have that, but yeah. Pro is just the worst. Pretty good sun production though. Yeah, I wouldn't necessarily have ignored those puff shrooms. I would have put the puff shrooms in one of those rows, maybe top row. Yeah, and we're ninth wave. What I would have actually maybe done here even is put a lily pad in the 9th column in the pool and put a puff shroom there. I guess you do risk then. You risk running out of sun, but you're doing so well on sun that yeah, I actually think it would have paid off. And it's hard to predict exactly, but I hope you're not late. Nope. Perfect timing. Very good.
Okay.
I might have ended up being a little bit earlier than you and potentially not caught a zombie, so I was worried about the speed of that digger, but got it. A lot of time save here, so here's best. And this row can be RNG City, particularly, you know, if you end up getting a lot of diggers in the second half, or if you digger up the final wave, that can be that can be a bit messy for sure. Getting a little bit of a cold, I hope.
Okay, top.
Yeah, that would have been the only thing. Maybe potentially hold off on a puff shroom until you know what row really needs help. But that said, you know, having the extra down there ends up saving a little bit of time. So. Like that, I like the order of operations there. You know, just really focus on the firepower. Maybe would have gone one more puff shroom. Just so your puff shrooms kind of aren't sitting too idly. Good job getting the vision out soon. A little worried about the pool. But yeah, luckily the RNG there wasn't too bad. Again, this is another example of where I might have gone putting a lily pad in the pool and a puff shroom on top of it, and then another berry or something like that behind it.
This is kind of ridiculous.
Yeah, a 210 is insane. You know, you really the cone heads that you got ended up being in pretty good rows that I think you dealt with very, very effectively, like in the 4th row and even in the 1st row and stuff too. But this was very nice. You also didn't have a lot of zombies in the pool, which I do think helps the time out a little bit in the first half. But a 210 is an excellent time, so that's definitely that's definitely great. Right? Yep. Good. So I don't like that. I would have gone with a lily pad in the 9th column and been able to get that a little bit sooner, rather than needing to do the whole digging up thing and that. I think that was a slight mistake. It didn't cost you a lot, other than maybe just a couple seconds on that one flag that you could have killed the buckethead a little bit sooner, and not needing to replant the puff shroom. So at this point, your puff shrooms are like mostly maxed out, so not a huge thing. This is another level 2 where it's certainly okay, yep, to begin digging up your sun a little bit, because the space at that point becomes more valuable than any other little sun bit. I do wonder if it's maybe worth it to use a chomper on this level. You know, instead of a squash. I know that's like really difficult, but you know, sometimes you just have so much sun that it can just really, really help. I like the decision not to use the squash there, such that, yep. If you got one on the 9th wave, you got it. Yep, that was absolutely the right decision. And easily saved you 10 seconds there, so that was very good. Again, most important here thing by far
Doom
is connecting the Doom. Yep, you got it.
Okay. Yep.
Luckily, it was a nice slow Doom. Yep, and although, okay, alright, kind of sucks. But, you know, you can...
this sucks, but...
Yeah, again, really nothing you could have done. You timed that very well.
Had to make sure,
you know, and the fact that it was a cone head also, like, added to the crap. But yeah, look at that, a 25-second time save out of 30 possible seconds. You're actually pushing a gold there too, which is good. So considering, you know, even though you missed that last pesky cone head at the end, really ended up not being too bad. Good reminder to everybody at this point that on 4.6 and 4.8, you do want to move your sun shroom head by a square so that you have a spot to add a squash or a, in this case, a scaredy at the very end.
Is it all the same row?
I was going to say, I think they are all in the
Seriously,
same
all
row.
The same row, isn't it?
Yep. It's just silly. Oh, and that second one didn't even shoot. Ugh. Yeah, so this is kind of a shitty start. Not your fault, but supposed to do. That's in the second row. But try to be a little bit quicker on getting the firepower there. This is nice though. You're definitely gonna get this guy dead. Very good. And now you still have a squash if you have a real problem zombie here. Interestingly not. Still, yeah, I would have tried to get yeah, I would have tried to get another Scaredy and another Puff out to maybe get that guy a bit quicker. Yeah, save your squash for this. This is nice. Same thing here. If you wanted to be ultra greedy, you could have put a lily pad in the 9th column, and you know tried to squeak out a little bit of extra firepower, but
I was about ready to use the squash just a little bit earlier.
Good, yeah, perfect timing. The 245 is pretty good. Again, if you hadn't gotten that bad RNG in the very beginning with all the zombies showing up in that 3rd row, I think I think that's where most of your time save was there. Good reminder to buy the rake. I do sometimes forget to do that in 4.9, and it is very, very sad.
And then there's also
413 is a little bit silly for this level. Can't remember what my gold is. Quite that good. Anything sub 430 here is very nice. Very reasonable goal to shoot for. 420 is even nicer, but here you can save a little bit of time. Very important here. What I'm doing here too is I'm trying to listen for some of the audio cues. Try to see if you can get an idea if you do get a cone head of where that's going to be. Huh. No cone heads. Could be another really good start. We'll have to see. You don't start getting a bunch of stuff in the pool. Yeah, I think it's in the 5th row. Yeah. Heard the same thing I did. And honestly, you just, yeah, those once you sort of run out of space, you can honestly just place them wherever. It really doesn't matter. Yep, that's the other thing. Yeah, I think making a move to the pool, again, especially if you start to get a, bucket, cone head in there. You got a lot of sun out too, which is great. Sometimes I even on this level I'll put a 13th or 14th sunflower just because like where you have to use the blower and the magnet in the second half. You can end up spending a little bit more sun than in like certainly levels like 4.2 and 4.7 and things like that where you really just don't have very many expensive plants at all. That'd be my only thing. Maybe consider, if you feel like you're doing okay on sun and you have that 100 saved up if you have to use a blower or something like that. I really do think that can be worth it. Pretty nice. It's nice getting all that firepower in the pool too. The pool always seems to be like the hold up on this. Sometimes you get like a bunch of cone heads in the same row in the regular part, but no. How about that blower? Unless you heard it and I didn't. That's probably what happened. Yeah, I might have actually put that in the pool in the 3rd row so you didn't have to dig up the firepower. Although now, of course, here comes one in the pool. Oh, and these spots are pretty nice. That'll come off cooldown any second now. Good. Just a little bit of like, I don't know whether to call it RNG, but just like your magnet timings have just been like a little bit off. Again, I really don't think it's your fault, but it's sort of just the wrong zombies showing up in. You did end up with a lot of sun anyway. I guess it didn't matter. Sometimes, actually, I'll even end up putting the magnets in the 9th row, knowing that, like, even if I lose them, like it's worth it for the value that they provided on just that one flag. So if you're ever like, oh, I don't want to have to go and dig and go back and do all that thing, it's actually okay to lose magnets, particularly if you're doing very well on Sun, which you are this level for sure. Again, I like your patience there. I think you were maybe about 1 second too long on that Doom, but just, you know,
Well, here we go.
better to be a second late than a second early. I mean, that's, you know. You got a sub 5 here in your PB, so just pray. Pray. Ooh. Wow.
First plant is a magnet.
First plant magnet. I don't think I've ever seen. I like that. I think that, I would have put it there, I think.
Right,
oh no, because you got the you actually did get. Yeah, you could actually add a starfruit there now, because you know that starfruit's protected. Bottom row, that is. It's pretty good. Nice. What a start. Jesus. I had forgotten about this when I watched you run, but this is great. Wow. No lily pads. Lily pad, the game does not exist. I would have put the split P there too. This is crazy. What a start. Be nice if you could put that in the pool, but if you can't, I would have. And
I'm not sure what to do. Oh, there we go.
Yeah. Okay. I think I like your patience there. Man, I don't know what I would have done there. I think I would have put the magnet in the 5th row and just dealt with it. In hindsight, that would have been the right decision, but I don't know if, like, you know, you play through, if you have that, if you have it 100 times or something, if that would have been the right move. Because again, you're sort of sacrificing, you know, if something shows up on the 2nd row, yeah, you're sort of sacrificing that. A lot of crap in that top row. Definitely throw some more power there. Yeah, you saw you got the two, the zombie and the regular one after having gotten a bucket head there, so that's rubbish. Firepower is really good. If anything, it was the lack of lily pads that killed you on the first half. If I killed you, I don't even mean killed you so much as, like, the magnet should be good here. It would have been really great to have one more magnet. You would have been able to get a ridiculous, like, sub 230 start.
Decent.
Good, but it was decent.
One more magnet would be nice.
It's like you're reading my mind, you know. 2 weeks past.
There we go.
Yeah, I don't know if I would have gone. Maybe. Yeah. Wow. Okay. All right. This level just got, like, legit. This level definitely just got real. Be nice to have a few more star fruits in the middle, but again, really didn't have any lily pads until the start of the 2nd flag, so plain. This is great. It's gonna be amazing. You should be able to get sub 5 here, I think. Really surprised. Yeah, I liked your hanging on to one of those pumpkins. I think that made sense. Wow. Okay. You got all the diamonds. You got all the magnets. I might not have used the blower there, only because I think 2 of them were actually in the pool. You would have been able to get those dead pretty quickly anyway. Potentially, although you kind of had the extra blower anyway, so better. Definitely good to save one for the final wave, though. If you're honestly running out of spaces to put your firepower, can't believe it.
Not as many starfruit this time around.
True.
I don't know if that's good or
Yeah,
bad.
it's still going to be a great level. So this is
I
crazy.
might actually get out of this without losing time. Be really surprised at that.
Didn't even have too many problematic zombies that appeared in the pool to like eat your starfruit that were there. Really great. Ooh, a lot in that third row. I don't know if you saw that, but that would have been a good spot for your last cactus. But maybe saved a second or two. But
I'll take that.
yep,
Actually surprised.
Very, very close to a sub 5 there, but that's a good level. I would definitely take that too.
Okay, 5-1. Like that.
Somehow just escape that without time loss. Again, I think the only way it could have been better. Oh, thanks so much, Blanky. I appreciate that. Yeah, you know, I try to get some of this stuff uploaded to YouTube now and again, and you know, kind of reach out to viewers in different ways. So I'm really glad you enjoy the content and glad you got to catch the stream. Again, this is one. This is a different kind of stream. It's sort of a different, like, you know, half tutorial, half you know, kind of feedback, and just sort of a fun little thing to do differently, because we figure you know, it's like anything. Anytime that, you know, you can kind of look at a run or look at how another runner does things, or have someone else look at, you know, how you play, like, you know, really that can only lead to improvement. You know, whether or not my suggestions are always going to be perfect is, you know, remains to be seen. But sometimes you're like, oh yeah, I do that, or oh I don't do that, and you know, like you know, it'll sort of be little things like that that'll sort of slowly help us you know, improve and make things, you know, make our time a little bit better. So, you know, but I hope this content is good for, you know, other viewers and like that too. Hey, what's going on, Mr. Papa Potato? Welcome. Yeah, glad to see a few new faces here in chat. I really do appreciate that. Yep. So very nice start. You've had really great sun production so far. Yep, I probably would have gone. I might have gone repeater there, to tell you the truth, and then worried about the second one via a potato mine. But this is okay too. It's not going to be a huge difference, I don't think. I'll go jalapeno on this one. More often than not, that happens, so, you know, can't really complain. Good to save onto your squash in case he tries to get the repeater. That's sort of the big thing there. Yep, I like your second repeater there. That was good. This should end up being a level. Yep, I like the repeater there as well. Obviously, you have a little... be lacking a little bit in the top row, but you should have enough for a repeater by the time whatever the next wave. I was going to say for at least a cabbage pult, if not a repeater. Yeah, I might have actually gone repeater first there. That would have been my only only bit there, just because it was the 9th wave and want to kill it as fast as possible.
And I shouldn't lose any time.
Actually worth using a squash when you see that happen. Although actually you're probably gonna... Holy crap! The hell is that row? Alright, I get repeater... yeah, I would have gotten a repeater out there. Ooh. Yeah, so I would have gone repeater there and then a cabbage pult behind. That was a bizarre final wave. That was really weird. Yeah, you could have saved about 4 seconds, maybe 5 seconds on the final wave by... But again, that was a really hard one to react to, for sure. There was a lot of really funny stuff going on there. So again, I really can't blame you for kind of maybe goofing that a little bit.
Oh yeah, 23 seconds of time save. Well.
Yep. So right now, what I'm doing is what I call WarmeCritic. And basically what that is I'm watching somebody else's run, one of the other top runners, A1 Major, and just sort of providing some feedback in terms of his run and sort of what I think he might improve, or honestly even what I might be able to improve by watching him. So this was a run that he had from a couple of weeks ago that does end up being a PB for him. Pretty solid PB, actually. And you know, again, just giving some
there's more
feedback in
vultures?
terms of, you know, what he does well, you know, what I maybe think he can improve, or things like
Always
that.
becomes-
So it's certainly not me actually playing, and I did do this with permission. He actually did reach out to me, you know, sort of saying, hey, if you were still, it was something I had suggested in our Discord a long time ago that I'd be willing to do, and he said, you know, hey, if you'd still be willing to do that, you know, he's interested in hearing the feedback. So obviously I wouldn't do. Oh shit!
I did it again.
And well, that is that's unfortunate, but still
Lack
something
of
you can
playing
recover from.
reforms does to you.
Not the end of the world, but man, that sucks. It's gonna be tricky to save the 23 seconds now. It's still possible. Never ends up being quite as bad as you think. Particularly where you still were able to deal with that row pretty well, but you know, I'm sure you feel it now. You feel a little behind on the sun production. You know, none of the rows are particularly great to deal with, so yeah, that stinks. We all have at least one misplant per run. I mean, it's inevitable. You know, you think that it's a pretty simple thing to do, and it is for the most part. But you know, that said, it's just very good. It's very easy just to misclick just by a little bit at one point in the run. So, no need to harp on that. Firepower situation isn't that bad. Ugh, I hate getting the zombies. I would go for that too. Yep, that's exactly what I would do. Yep. How often do you dig up a repeater? That's that is a thing. I like the squash there as well. You could have actually put the flower pot in front and gotten the squash out a little bit sooner, but very might have actually gone might have gone Torchwood there.
Yeah, because of that one
Cool.
repeater, this just backfired.
I think you're actually gonna get him. He luckily slowed way down after you jumped over him,
Disappointed.
but yeah,
Very
330 on the first half
If
is.
I break even, I'll be
I know I don't
happy.
need to tell you is.
Wow.
Oh, yeah, so PvZ2 is a really long campaign. Nobody has done a full all levels run of PvZ. We actually have two categories for that. We have all levels, and we have all levels including the hard levels, which we estimate all levels would probably take. The current estimate is about 15 hours, but it's hard to it's hard to say for sure. At some point, I think I'd like to do it, but that would be, even trying to route that is like just a son of a gun. I actually would have put the Torchwood one row farther down, but not a huge deal in this. But that would have been slightly better. Yeah, so PvZ2 is sort of its own beast when it comes to when it comes to speedrunning for sure. This was good. I don't think you needed to use a chomper there. It was, you know, better off, you know, trying to get ahead, back ahead on your firepower, prepare a little bit more for the final wave. So you could have chompered this one. You already had the flower pot in place. Same thing here. I wouldn't worry about the. I would probably chomper this guy though. I only would have saved maybe seconds. This is a tough one. Yep. Again, you know, misplants suck, but obviously it's not going to cost you the run. And you know, no need to, again, kind of harp on it too much. Oh, this final wave is going to be incredible. Holy crap! Utterly crushed.
Final wave was great.
That actually saved you like 5 or 10 seconds. I actually thought this was going to be much worse. I thought you were really in the hole, but that final wave was great. you're very well prepared. Again, you know, just goes to show that using those potato mines proactively can really, really, you know, really kind of put you ahead of the game for sure. So this is that was really something. And yeah, you got nice RNG with the Bungie zombie dropping where they did too. Looks like you're up against a gold here. I think it is possible to get a low 5 minutes, if not a sub 5 here. So there might be a little bit of room for improvement, but
I've done that so many times and it still doesn't stick in my head.
yeah, it's one of those things. You know, we all have our habits, so to speak. So but it's all good. Oh, it wasn't actually a gold. You technically have 34 hundredths of a second to save. That's funny. Yeah, so the fastest run that I've done was a 3 hours and 29 minutes, and the fastest run anyone's ever done was 3 hours 25 minutes. So I still have 4 minutes to go. That run's available on speedrun.com. If you look up Plants vs Zombies, just in the general search that you can do, you'll be able to see that. You actually had really nice sun RNG here, and I think the start of this level is going to be very, very strong. Yep, do the same thing. Yep, this. Tough not quite to have enough for the repeater, but I think you're good, and it makes sense to save the squash here because inevitably you're going to get another. You're going to get another cone head probably in the second or third row coming up here, so. Yes, indeed. And again, I like what we've both started doing of planting the flower pot in the 7th column like that, just because later on you're going to use that column anyway for torchwood. So again, it kind of saves you a little bit of sun, the whole killing 2 birds kind of thing. So, yeah, repeater was the right choice there for sure. Trying to get a potato mine or something out would have been, I think, just a little too dicey, and honestly, you wouldn't have saved that much time. Sometimes I will go proactive potato mine here. In a situation like this, like in the 8th column of the 3rd row, and in this case, it would have paid off a little bit, but again, that's sort of a risk that I don't necessarily know if it's always going to be. Probably not. And here, yeah, I would try to get a torchwood up and that too. Very good. Ended up planting a little bit of extra sun, which I kind of like, to be honest. You maybe could have stopped at 16 if you needed the flower pots more for something else, but honestly, you were pretty good on the flower pots too. So it's kind of nice. It's going to help you maybe get a couple extra chompers and stuff. So this is actually another level I like. The I like the strat. I do. Just a couple more sunflowers than for maybe word normally. Hope you don't lose that torchwood there. That's fine. Actually good to slip in the torchwood as quickly as you did. That's why having quick reaction times on stuff is sometimes, I think, something we don't totally take for granted. Sometimes, again, it makes the difference between being able to get, that extra pea shooter shot in or the extra torchwood shot in. So, that's good. Oh, no, all right on the spelling. Welcome, by the way, Sun Deseo. It's very good. Yeah, again, some of it's just kind of guesses that we have. Again, I think it would be possible to get in the 4 minutes on this particular level. But that said, RNG definitely plays a factor. What we find is that RNG plays a huge factor on each level individually, but over the course of the run, in almost every circumstance, the stronger, more experienced runners will end up doing better. Because over the course of 50 levels, I don't know what the delay there was, but I would have been a little bit more aggressive trying to get another repeater out there.
This was a much better.
Yeah, but this is going to be a great level. You should be close to a gold here. Maybe not quite get it, but it should be close. Ooh, that second row really sucks. Cherry there, squash there. Nice. Very good. And you were able to slip that in, too. So that's very good. Yep. Just a couple seconds off your gold. That's great. Very strong.
All because of that one thing. Okay.
Alright, 5-4. The one level that you usually play better than I do. So back is basically worthless here. For some perspective, I think my gold is like a 632. So the fact that you got a 615 is absolutely ridiculous, which means that, you know, on average, you're probably playing this level a little bit better than I do. Yeah, so speedrunning PvZ actually is a community and a commitment. I don't know which one you're trying to say. Maybe a commitment, but yeah, I would say right now I have about 700 attempts at this category, at the any percent category, and probably somewhere between 1,000 and 1,500 total hours streamed, I would say. I do some of the other categories too, so all of that hasn't been devoted to the any percent category, but it is a commitment. If you're playing through the game casually, you know, you can probably get in the 5 to 6 hour range. If you play with the mindset of, you know, trying to play the game as quickly as you can, you could probably get about 4 hours 30 minutes. If you've watched a speed run of the game before and you're trying to sort of do your first speed run based on a game, you know, attempts that you've watched, you know, maybe you've made a couple of notes and things like that. I would say that you could probably get about 4 hours, and then slowly, you know, you'll find you improve about in 2 or 3 minute increments each time. Then maybe once you get to about the 3 hour 40 minute mark, you start improving by a minute or so. You know, maybe 30 seconds, and then, you know, kind of once you start getting to the low 40s and 330s for your total time, that's when it gets to be a little bit more difficult, and you really sort of need to learn a little bit more about some of the mechanics and things like that. So we do have tutorials available. We do have input. We do have some of the game's code or the mechanics dissected. So all of that's available if that's something. Going back to A1's run, I like the decisions that have been made so far, sort of alternating between the squashes and the repeaters. I think that's very good. I like the use of a squash here. I mean a repeater here as well. Again, just get your 50% and go home. Yeah, I would have gone squash there, exactly like you did here. Squash first and then repeater second, since this guy really isn't that much of a threat. So this has been very good. Been very good. So this is an example of, again, I think you played the beginning of this level probably a little bit better than I would have. I definitely find myself in the 315, 320, 325 range far too often at the beginning of this level. And as you can see here, you're at a 305, which is just excellent. I've only had a couple of runs that have even been sub 310 in the first half. So again, I really think it just sort of speaks. And again, even having a torchwood up like this, I think is very, very good. So now you have a good place to plant your magnet, which I assume you're probably going to do either next or maybe right after this this thing right here. I wouldn't have necessarily done that. I actually don't think you needed to do that. I don't think you were at risk of much damage or loss for your torch. I would have considered maybe getting a magnet up a little bit sooner here. You've had pretty good luck so far, and maybe pushing your luck a little bit here, but it's not bad. It's just, you know, if you get those annoying bungee zombies, you know, you could risk, or pogo zombies, you could risk, you know, potentially torchwood or a repeater.
Whoops.
And maybe that's something I do wrong. Maybe I need to prioritize the torchwood a little bit more. Or maybe you've just gotten, you know, bad lucky. But and of course, the instant you build it. Why does that never happen to me? Why does that never happen? Man, that's funny. Good. You might have wanted to. Yeah, no. This actually forget what I was gonna say. Yeah, seeing if I was gonna say, oh, I would have actually gone bottom row there. I think that was a little bit, so, but maybe a second or two save there. Yeah, getting sub 5 minutes for the second half is also very good. Nice to have 2 magnets out and eventually try to get a third one. Yep. So you're in good shape here. Getting the second repeater in every row, probably more of a priority than the extra magnet at this point, but at this point, the only thing that's a threat is a football zombie, and even that probably isn't. Ooh, you lost it, actually. Football zombie's gonna get torched.
They were pretty good waves.
Are good waves, yep, but you know, that's, you got yourself set up. Hey, welcome, by the way, Bulbasaur. How you doing? I apologize for the low quality of this video. Normally my streams are a little bit higher, but what I had to do for this was do a display capture on the monitor of my laptop, and then at that point go for then at that point sort of transition into, you know, like put the stream and build the overlay and stuff over that, because basically I wasn't able to download a copy of this video, so it was just a little bit more difficult to be able to you know, to get you know, to capture things and still sort of get all the perks and bells and whistles and stuff that I really needed. I also forgot that I wasn't set up for alerts, so if any of you have followed, or, you know, any subscribers or anything like that, I really do appreciate that. That's awesome. So again, 635 for me would have been excellent. That would have been borderline a gold split. I know for you it's sort of more par for the course, but again, this is one of my weaker levels for sure. What's going on with you today, Bulba? Are you going to be grinding back for 4th place relatively soon? You and Wasp are kind of neck and neck here. About 3 hours into the stream and doing pretty good. Ah, yes, everybody's favorite 5-5. I don't know if that pumpkin was technically necessary this early. Maybe it would have been, because, yeah. But just for... Yeah, luck is definitely needed in this level. There are some things from a skill perspective that you can do to make it better. It is definitely not all luck. You know, we complain about the luck factor, but there are definitely things. I would probably cherry this. I don't love the decision here. I probably would have cherried that. I think it would have been faster, and you get that 2-for-1 value, and you don't necessarily need to blow all of the chompers. Like, you would have had one of it for this. Oh, I guess you're gonna get one back anyway. Yeah, just again, this is my opinion. It's so hard to predict whether that's the right move or the wrong move or whatever.
Actually, quite surprised.
I would have cherried that too. I think it's tough. You do have to think on the fly. So the way welcome, by the way, Chillin. The way that we describe this is basically it is the game is non-deterministic, and you really do. It's a very rare and unique speed run in that regard. That, like, you really do need to like it's a puzzle. It's like playing chess this entire time. Like, it is not very technically difficult to like click and point, and there's no frame perfect tricks. There's no like tough to pull off glitches. There's no like crazy anything really in this run. It's all about the decisions that you make, being able to think on the fly, being able to react to what the game gives you, and sort of making the best decisions that you can based on the circumstances that you're given to. It's very analytical. It's very, I mean, it's very challenging. There's no question about that. I like that use of the chomper, by the way, to save the. Wow, you actually saved. You really saved all of them. That's great. Yep, excellent use of the cherry there. This is great. I think you've been, with the exception of that one time I would have used a cherry a little bit earlier. You're playing this level again. I think nearly perfectly. Cherry this. Yeah, boy, it's tough to use 2 cherries there. Hindsight, right? But it can be tough because you really want to get that Buckethead dead. That's sort of the high priority target there. We'll use it. I don't quite know what how you're gonna. I would have at least dug that up if you were gonna use that. I probably just would have placed a chomper there, to be honest. I think you lost a little bit more time than you had to. I think you should be able to get the 50% rule. Oh, that sucks. Very here. It's borderline whether... Nah, I actually agree with your decision not to cherry here on hindsight. I might have overreacted to that and parried myself, but... boy, this one, though, is probably worth it. Yeah, you're a little bit slow there. I think you could have actually saved that, I think you could have saved that chomper, but... On the 9th wave, you can be a little bit more aggressive, I think, with some of the cherries. Maybe wait, yep, till that middle spot. Yep, this is going to be perfect. It's exactly the right play. And technically, you actually could have, well, no, this is fine. This is great. This is going to be a strong level. You should be able to get sub 5 here, which I think is good. Yep, so you definitely could chill in. It's a run that I think appeals to people that, like, really like, oh, holy crap. All right, yeah, you should be able to just end this. Yeah, another one, yeah, a little bit. Wow. This is a gold? Holy crap. This was really good. Yeah, your decision making was excellent on this one. Again, one or two things that I could have flipped around to maybe maybe do a maybe get a slightly better time, but even that it's hard to say. I think, did you even end the game with an extra cherry or something like that was really very good. You kind of got the right plants at the right time, and I think you reacted to the circumstances that you had very well. Yeah, but anyway, going back to this. Going back to what type of run this is, again, it really does appeal to people like me that like aren't really like that great at video games. And I know that sounds funny, but I'm really not. Like trying to do a platform like platformer like a Mario or Mario 64 or Zelda or something like that. Like I would have no prayer, man. Like there's no chance. And I'm also not great at like maybe going for these like super long endurance runs and things like that. Like those don't really appeal to me either. But something like this is really perfect because it's basically you're basically solving a puzzle for 3.5 hours, and it looks very easy, but like I swear to you, it is like super difficult. Like every single decision that you make, like there's nothing that you can really do that will absolutely kill the run, but you kill the run in like 5 to 10 second increments each time you make a bad decision. And it's very like it's very hard to like fully appreciate that maybe until like you've kind of given it a try. I remember when I started running this, I was like, oh, this game looks easy. I can crush the world record, and I did have the world record for a long time, but I was extremely overconfident at that point, and sort of thought that like just really didn't understand how much went into like each little lack of optimization, and sometimes how like certain bad habits that you might have or certain mistakes that you might be more prone to repeat just really kind of get in the way of a good time for this. Not quite sure what you were thinking with that flower pot. I probably would have gone top or bottom row with that flower pot, but sure it'll be fine. All right. Losing a flower pot or two really isn't the end of the world. You're not really that dependent on them for time. I like the placement of the second the second Gloom Shroom for sure. That was good. You had a pretty high chance of potentially a Conehead showing up there, so that's very nice. But I really do recommend this this speed run to anyone. It's a ton of fun. It doesn't get old. It doesn't get repetitive. It's just sort of like even though like there's a lot of decisions and like there is a huge learning curve. Just be honest about that. There's a huge learning curve to be able to get really good at it. It doesn't get boring. It's very chill. You know, like there's something fun. Like it's not intense. Like I don't feel exhausted after runs. I you know, I feel pretty good. Like it's, you know, it's colorful, it's entertaining, and the community is just really, really, really awesome. I mean, you know, I can't say enough about, you know, how great the PvZ speedrunning community is. It's awesome. There you go. Yep. Oh, you'll have a chance. We'll get a run out of you eventually, Papa Smurf. I'm sure you'll have a run at some point. That would be really nice. I do wish this game had a sandbox too. It would be really, really nice if we could go to individual levels and like test, you know, just really test things and like really get behind the mechanics, or like have something that had like some kind of like frame advance or something like that, so that we could really like grind, you know, like get the mechanics down perfect, you know, really figure out like, you know, do our actions have an effect on what zombies show up? Are there ways to manipulate that luck, or is it all predetermined? You know, having some answers like that, I think would be really, really, really helpful. Might have used a squash there on that top row, just to get to the ninth wave a little bit faster. Yeah, this is good. Be a little bit patient. Yep. Wait till that guy gets in the right spot. Good. Yeah, your timing there was good within a half a second. That was tight. Yeah, you should pop a Smurf. You should. It's worth the grind. Hope they all appear on screen. They did. Excellent.
Yeah, it was the opening.
Yeah, your opening ended up being, it wasn't anything that you could have done differently, but you did get, I think it was 3 cone heads in a row. I don't know if you could have played that much better. Again, you maybe could have gotten another squash out a little sooner, maybe, but that's at a 5 minute is a fine time for that level. It's that the 5 minutes is very good.
Ideally,
it's certainly good enough for
zombie to appear in row 2, 3, or 4.
It's good first run people.
That way you can just take it out with or zombie 3. No, it's the third zombie. That's what I'm talking about.
Yeah,
So
you did get a little bit of bad luck too with the third zombie. Yeah, I don't know if there was much that you could have done. Cost you a little bit on the first half, but that would be pretty interesting if we ever got to the point where we could have like a true, like, empirically tested like decision tree for the beginning of each level. Like, all right, you get this in this row and this row based on this, you know, like sort of what. But again, there's just so many variables. Like the speed of the zombies matters.
This is pretty good luck.
I would actually stall him with a flower pot. Wow. That was close. This is good too. I think it is worth using a squash there. Just get it off cooldown. Get it in position. This is fine. Good. And I like the play of the beginning of this level very, very much. Use a squash here. And yeah, if you can sneak in a garlic, yep, perfect, perfect. Would have been nice if you somehow could have kept one more flower pot, so you could have gotten your, gotten your gloom. That's really only by like a second or two. Not a huge deal. Certainly had more than in time for zombie here. Yeah, I like that there. No need for your gloom to take any damage. Could use the flower pot to help him out. Great. Very, very, very good. Very excellent first half. Is that a sub 3? That's really good. Sub 3 is really, really good. Yeah. Yeah, you really crushed it. No mistakes at all in the first half. again, that's high praise. As in, it's easy for me to sit here and say, oh, that went really well, and much more difficult to actually do it. Anything. Good. Catch him in time. Ooh, that scared the crap out of me. Hey, YMB, what's going on? Welcome. Welcome to our first feedback stream. We were saying, I think one thing that would be really cool is if we could, just work on kind of giving each other, some feedback, some criticism, some improvements, just to sort of help the community, continue to get better times and things like that. So A1 had sort of reached out to me. I would actually use a squash on that. I would have used a squash on that top row, just to get that cone head and get the 50% rule faster. Very, very small thing, but nothing wrong with being a little bit aggressive with the squashes in the second half. It is nice to maybe save the squashes for the vaulter, the basketball vaulter zombies, but that's what we got. Yeah, YMB, by the way, I loved your scripted run. That was that was actually amazing. I seriously loved that. That was one of the more entertaining PvZ runs that I've seen in a long time. I thought that was so good. I hope you consider doing something like that in the future, I don't know if we could ever do it for any percent. I think that would be too challenging, but that would be so cool. All right, I like the extra Doom. You have to see if you I would have used it a little sooner. I think at this point, the 50% rule is already done anyway, so I don't know if that added a ton of value. Yeah. Oh, you got to 99 flags. That's awesome. Did you get to 100 or no? Did you lose on the 100th flag? That would be so sad. That would be so sad. I'd have used a squash here too. Just dug up the fume shroom. The guy a little bit quicker. He could have saved a few seconds. Oh, got destroyed by a bug. Damn it. Well, you'll get it. You'll get it eventually. Oh, you did. Welcome, that guy. Good to see you again, my friend. Yeah, welcome back for the end of our first ever WarmeCritic, I'm calling it, stream. Again, I'm very grateful to A1 for having, volunteered to do this. Again, I think he was looking for some improvements, and I think, yep, this is good. Yeah, I like the timing. Could have technically been a little bit sooner, but, I think you're... Good. Gonna get all of them. Perfect. Nice.
Alright,
yep.
Cool.
Again, 630 is definitely possible, but very, very difficult for this level. So again, I think 635, 640 is just bump something out. Mess up the stream too much. And again, I do apologize, as I have a couple times already, for the quality of the stream. Basically, I'm using a display capture on my monitor of the run that I'm streaming live, so I'm kind of, I'm risking a little bit here.
Into 330 range, which will be...
yeah, I'm sort of, I have a lot going on in my computer that I think is sort of affecting the quality of the stream. And anytime you're doing a display capture, it's never going to be as good as sort of the pure... getting it from the pure source or anything like that. So next time, what we're going to go for is basically my getting a hard copy of the VOD itself and then capturing that instead. I think that would be a much better. I think that would be a much better way to do this. But I ran into issues. I was trying to do like a window capture, and that wouldn't work. And so then I just, I was running out of time, so I basically just had to opt for the display capture and take it from there. So apologize for any slight lagginess, choppiness. Oh my goodness. Yeah, thank you so much for the host. I appreciate that. Welcome, Wolf Wolf and company. Oh no, that's on A1. That's funny. Oh, I thought that was mine because yeah, I don't have my alerts turned on. Ooh, shit.
Damn it.
Yeah, that really sucks. Yeah, I thought you were gonna get it too. I don't think in hindsight I would have tried to delay that zombie at all.
Good.
It's just again
Thanks,
very
guys.
very slight
Yeah.
reaction times there.
decent
Oh,
run, I'm
that
surprised.
sucks. Yeah, I thought he
Well,
was moving at
it's
just the
upside-
right
it's
speed.
Up, down, left, right, but
Ugh, man, oh that sucks. And you
It's a
were frames late on that too. Oh, that really sucks. Yep. Well,
I save time.
no
I
need
lose
to,
time. I save time. I lose time.
no need to do that. No need to fret the past. You got the squash back pretty quickly anyway, in time for another good use. So nice. I'd probably get another. Yeah, I actually like that. I like prioritizing that over the sunflower. Kind of a could have gone
Okay,
either.
not this wave.
Yeah. Certainly would have been nice to have a squash here.
Squash the next wave.
I might have actually tried to get a fume out. A little bit more damage to this guy, but
Okay.
oh, you're actually not really gonna need the squash. Yep. Again, getting that fume out, I think, could have saved a couple, maybe a second or two. Maybe not even that much. Yeah, this is good. All right. Yeah. Again, what YMB and I have started doing now is actually planting this first Doom Shroom in the 4th column. Reason being that the Gargantuar never appears in the top row, so you're actually better off using the Doom in the 4th row at first and saving sort of this prime real estate, so to speak, for a little bit later. Can I catch it? Damn. Nope. Right. You almost have your squash back and stuff anyway. You can yeah. I think you were just a little bit late in getting that first squash out, so I don't, that's a little bit tough. But you really don't need a lot of you don't need a lot of sun at this point. Really, I'm really not super. And you did manage to catch that next wave a little bit too, so I actually think you're okay there. I'd start focusing a little bit more maybe on the 5th column. Trying to get a couple of okay. Yeah, back the week. Oh, keep thinking I'm doing A1's run live. Yeah, that's funny. Yeah, nope. This is not live. He did this about a week ago, so we already know the result. This is going to be a PB for him. Sorry for any spoilers, but yep. But that would be good. That would actually be a very interesting stream idea, though, Papa Smurf, doing sort of a live coaching. It'd be hard though, because like if we disagree about if we disagree about the decisions that each other's making. Where does that put us?
Right.
So that would be kind of funny. But a live coaching would be very very interesting. I'd need to find a way to be able to get the run live, like truly live, because normally it's on a couple second delay, just due to lag and input latency and time differences and OBS and Twitch and all that sort of stuff. So we'd have to find a way to get it sort of in real time, because otherwise it's not like, hey, 5 seconds ago I would have done this, or even 3 seconds ago I would have done this, because that's not particularly valuable. So we'd sort of have to find a way to
yeah.
To do that live. I think the coaching thing would be a little bit more valuable for a newer runner. That's like
for too much.
The difference, we're sort of the difference in skill level is maybe a little bit stronger.
Bucket heads.
That I could definitely see being valuable. Or even live coaching, if there were ever people that like lived nearby and
you can get a low 6
ever wanted to do some live coaching. I think that would be good. But just an idea. I don't know how the logistics specifically would work, but that'd be kind of fun. But these feedback streams are still kind of fun. It's tough. Yes,
yeah,
jerk in the box.
Is terrible.
Jerk in the box zombies.
They killed a lot of runs before we used.
Oh, YMB, there you are. A1 stream. As it happened.
We used magnets.
Yep, last regular level. And it's a difficult one. It is sort of well, okay. This might not actually be bad. You can just kind of plant another one. Oh, I see what you're doing. Oh, interesting. I thought that was a mistake. I thought you were going to squash him. Man, that is anxiety producing, I gotta tell you, man. Think of my blood pressure. Think of my blood pressure. Oh, man. That's the worst. That is the worst.
Yeah, I'm ahead.
Oh, this is nice. This is great.
That's
yeah, so you ended up making the right decision there. I don't know if I would have, and I think I would have put myself in a bit of a hole. I think I would have squashed that third one and then used set up the gloom for the fourth one. I didn't think that you'd be able to get it in time in that position. I tend to only put the gloom on the third one if the zombies are in the first, third, or fifth rows. That's just what I do, but yeah, this is. Yeah, I like your idea here of sort of slipping, kind of putting it in the back. Although you should be able to get a squash out here. I'm a little bit worried about that conehead. I hope he doesn't eat anything. Yeah, just get him. Yeah, kill him. And you were, yeah, it was going to be tough to get the. Anyway, I like this. Just don't worry about that conehead too much. It would have been nice theoretically if you'd had the squash for that, but I don't think there was any way of I don't think there was any way of saving the squash without like severe losses. You know, you lose a sunflower, you lose a probably have to put a fume up. Ugh. Maybe could have squashed this guy, although I don't know if you would have quite gotten the squash off in time. Coming up on your third gloom, which is really good. West Roxbury. Exciting. Excellent. Yep. Are you there for any particular purpose, or just, you know, family or something like that? I'm heading off to the Metro West later today, actually. Nice. Good use of the squash there. You don't have to worry about any gargantuars or stuff at this. I think you'll have enough. Yeah, I was gonna say I'm not too worried that gloom taking any damage. I do like having two fumes here. Nice. Will you stall out that yeah. Good call. Otherwise, you could have been in trouble there.
How you doing? Welcome.
Oh, Nick, I didn't even see you. That's funny. Live coaching, it could happen. You gotta sign up. Be ready. At your dad's house. Nice. Very good.
Or live streams. Yeah, I'd say the mobile version is no world recording coming.
Hey, if you got the one cycle zomboss,
maybe a PB if I
another diamond. You better buy those. You better buy those roof cleaners, man. I swear to God, the memes are like killing us right now. The one thing I would do here, I would have done here, or that you could do now, is I would put a gloom in the sixth column, just in case you happen to get the early Garg. It's pretty important. It's definitely saved a run or two of mine before, so I would really recommend that. Yeah, like these fumes are okay, but I think the Doom is more the priority. It's just so difficult to kill the Gargantuars twice, because it's like then you don't have the squash, or you don't have the Doom, or whatever, and it ends up being really messy. And the cost is really not that high either. It's really just the cost of one sort of one space that you would have for, you know. Sometimes I'll even put it in the 7th column in the 3rd row too, and then just put 2 magnets on top and 2 magnets below. That can be good. Let's flush out. This is good. Nice. Great final wave.
Probably not. I guess it really depends on this now.
We have a minute 5 to save. Well, unfortunately, we do know the answer, but yeah, I'd be very encouraged if I were you, right? All right, yeah, we're on to our final level. Dr. Troll Boss himself. We do know the ending of this already, however, still adds a certain amount of drama, you know, being this close and that stuff.
No, thanks for that.
Real lack of regular firepower here. I was gonna say, I actually hope you don't lose that Savage Bolt there. Not giving you many, yeah, I was gonna say many melon bolts either. Yeah, I would go there too. Alright, so now for your jalapenos, I would definitely go, I might even go bottom row, to be honest. Yep. Good. I would have added a snow pea. I would have gone ice shroom a little bit sooner than you did, just to kind of give you a little bit more time to whack him a bit. But you know, the ice shrooms this early, I'm always a little bit torn about. You don't have that much firepower, so you don't get that much value out of them. But you actually did have a pretty good first flag, but I think that was largely due to the jalapenos and stuff. Now of course they're throwing more melon pults at you, so that's nice. So this is looking like a 4-cycle. I think you would have needed a better first flag and, you know, better plants from the beginning to get a 3-cycle. But and I like the positioning of your plants. I liked the jalapenos that you used. I thought that was all very good. I try to be a little bit quicker with these jalapenos. You know, you're potentially losing a little bit of time. You know, because really you want it to kind of be jalapeno, ice shroom. Like that tends to be, you know, how I try to position the beginning of a Zomboss cycle. Again, it's not a huge thing. It ends up, you know, most of the damage is coming from your jalapenos and stuff anyway. But you know, it just adds a little bit of efficiency. Average.
No.
Ugh. Yeah, it was bored. I might have, honestly, where it was 2 plants, including a melon pult. I think I would have used a jalapeno for that. I don't know for sure if it's the right decision, but I think I would have. I'd go 2 jalapenos here, and then ice shroom. Yep. Ooh, you went 3. All right. A little bit of a greed play, but I don't mind that. You have enough ice shrooms that you can stall him out. You can delay this forever. Hopefully it doesn't give you a okay. It did. Hopefully it doesn't give you. I think all of them have been the fireballs at this point. I don't think any of them have been more than that. I don't think you're getting a 3-cycle. I might save an ice shroom. This doesn't really matter. I'm probably gonna have a fast 4-cycle and be able to get rid of him right at the beginning of it. I guess it was worth going for the 3-cycle in case something crazy had happened and you got like 4, you know, jalapenos in a row or something like that, but yeah, I wonder if with like Pixel Perfect play you could have gotten a 3-cycle out of that, but again, I don't think there's any way realistically or reliably that you could have banked on the 3-cycle there. That I think the 4-cycle was the name of the game. At this point, it's worth letting them go almost all the way through to the last possible instant. course, he trolls you right at the end. Yeah. Well, anyway, again, overall, this run, I mean, it goes without saying, was just super well played. You know, really, any feedback that I had was on some very small, more. Oh, happened.
Thanks for the GG.
We lose the. Did I bump something? I might have bumped something, and we the end of the run. Did we actually lose some frames there? I want to make sure I got this right. I think the highlight got messed up. Huh. I think something in the highlight might have gotten a little messed up. Well, I mean, we know how it ends, and that's sort of the purpose of this stream. But zip to the end.
At least now in the 330 range.
Yeah. Well, anyway, again, you know, this was a very good run. I think the end of your pool levels were by far the strongest part of the run. I thought that was very good. It'll be nice that you have a little bit of room for improvement in the day levels, but again, a lot of that's just kind of RNG and things like that. In terms of the major takeaways, I guess my feedback would be, you know, you're a little bit early, I think, with some of the lily pads in the pool levels, just in general, in terms of, you know, any kind of recurring theme. So I think that's one area where, again, it's a tough balance, as we mentioned live on stream, but something that you could definitely go for on levels like 1.4, 1.6. And even, you know, some of the levels like some of the fog levels, I think being a little bit more aggressive with some of your early pea shooters slash scaredies in the case of the fog levels. On those levels where we always end up with too much sun, I think that, and again, it's something I don't do very well either, but just being very, very aggressive about just like, all right, there's not a great place to put this. I'm just going to pick a row. Like, it doesn't matter. Like, I just need to get it off cooldown. The wave in question has already been dealt with. You know, maybe it's a potato mine or something. Just deal with it. Just plant it somewhere and be done with it. I think that's the way to go. And you know, yeah, in terms of last pieces of feedback, you know, again, like there were a couple of times where it just sort of seemed like, you know, maybe you were hesitating on a decision, and so that doesn't, again, it's not, it's better to think about something and do it right than, you know, than not. But there were, you know, maybe a couple of times I tried to point out maybe the 2 or 3 cases that I thought that it was sort of maybe the most prominent. You know, just kind of, you know, just kind of going with it. You know, worst case, like most of the plants will respawn within 7 seconds or something like that anyway. So those are the big feedback. In terms of things that you did well, I thought you did a really excellent job of your sun production on all but maybe 1 or 2 of the levels. I thought you did also a really good job of sort of getting all of the rows dealt with, whether it was with like a repeater in some of the pool levels or you know, the scaredies in some of the later levels. You know, a lot of your first halves I think were pretty darn good, again, with a couple of, you know, of the obvious exceptions of something that you know, things like that we could have done differently. I think, you know, in general, you made very good decisions on all of the auto scrollers. Again, there's a couple of times I think on 3.5 that I might have done something a little different, or 5.5 that I would have done something a little different, but overall, again, you know, the auto scrollers I think were very good. Yeah, and again, I'm sure I'm forgetting, and you know, any other, you know, kind of little things. Oh, also in the fog levels, just prioritizing, you know, potentially using the little trick with the lily pad and the puff shroom, or just making sure that you're constantly placing puff shrooms on those levels. I think that would be very good. The timing of your doom shrooms was very, very good. I think there was only one exception where you goofed that, and then maybe one instance where you could have been a little bit more patient with a cherry bomb. I think it was on one of the. And overall, I mean, it was an excellent run. And again, you know, I'm coming from a place of, you know, I've only had 1 or 2 runs ever that were this time or better. So again, I feel like my feedback can only be taken so far, because, you know, there were definitely situations, and I tried to call out those that I can, where I think you made a different decision than maybe I would have, but that decision ended up being the correct one. Like that gloom shroom, I think at the beginning, you know, 5.9, that certainly pops out. And ultimately there was a potato mine that you planted somewhere that I disagreed with at the time, but ended up kind of being good because it helped against a vault or something. So, things like that where, maybe I didn't think of something or you had different rationales, again, none of this is meant to be criticism or, bad in any way. It's just sort of like a brainstorming of ideas of how potentially we might be able to. So that's very good. Oh yeah, so you see the Microsoft Edge. That's funny. Yep. So that's about what we got. So anyway, y'all, again, thank you all for the support, for the new followers, subscribers, things like that. It's really been a pleasure. It's been very good. I do have to run now. I'm off to the races. So again, it's been fun. I'd love to do this again. Feel free to send me a PM if you're interested in a WarmeCritic. I'm probably going to try to do something like this maybe once a month. It doesn't matter whether it's your first run, you're a middle of the road runner, you're one of our top runners, or you're the best. Again, I'm very happy to to provide this kind of feedback. It was fun for me to do, and I hope it was fun for you all to enjoy as well. So YMB, Papa Smurf, Ruskell, Dak Guy, Nika, again, I appreciate you guys sticking around to the end. It was a lot of fun, and yeah, in that case, I will. It's been great, and I will talk to you all later. Bye-bye.